I tell you now, as I have told countless others who have sat where you sit tonight, that the very idea that you must do something external to receive what you desire is the greatest lie ever perpetuated upon humanity. It is this lie that keeps you running on the hamster wheel of endless action, forever chasing, forever seeking, forever believing that your good lies somewhere outside of you, waiting to be earned through struggle and toil. Tonight, I want to shatter that illusion completely. I want to show you that everything you have ever desired, everything you have ever dreamed of, every state of being you have ever longed to experience already exists within you at this very moment. Not as a potential, not as a possibility, but as an absolute reality waiting to be claimed through the simple act of assumption. You see, most of you have been conditioned to believe that the world you perceive with your senses is the cause of your experiences. You look at your bank account and say, I am poor because I see emptiness there. You look at your relationships and say, I am unloved because I see evidence of rejection. You look at your circumstances and say, I am limited because these walls confine me. But I tell you that you have it completely backwards. The world you see is not the cause of anything. It is merely the shadow cast by your own consciousness, the external reflection of your internal states. Your bank account is empty because you have assumed the feeling of poverty. Your relationships are troubled because you have assumed the feeling of being unloved. Your circumstances are limited because you have assumed the feeling of limitation. The external world is nothing more than a mirror, faithfully reflecting back to you the assumptions you hold to be true about yourself. This is why I can stand before you tonight and declare with absolute certainty that you need do nothing external to change your world. The work, if we can even call it work, is entirely internal. It is the work of changing your assumptions, of revising your concept of self, of daring to assume that you are already the person you wish to become, already living in the state you wish to experience. But before we go further, let me address the elephant in the room. When I say do nothing, I do not mean that you should become passive, lazy, or indifferent to life. What I mean is that you should cease all frantic action that stems from the belief that your good is separate from you. Stop chasing. Stop seeking. Stop trying to make things happen through force and manipulation. Instead, learn to live from the assumption that what you desire is already yours, and watch as the external world rearranges itself to match this inner conviction. The ancient teaching tells us that God's name is I am, and that this sacred name dwells within each of us. When you say I am, you are speaking from the very throne of creation itself. You are not describing what you appear to be in the world of shadows. You are declaring what you choose to be in the realm of reality. Every time you complete the sentence I am with anything, you are either claiming your divinity or denying it. When you say I am wealthy, you are not making a statement about your bank account. You are assuming the feeling of wealth, the consciousness of abundance, the very essence of prosperity itself. When you say I am loved, you are not referring to how others treat you. You are claiming the state of being beloved, the consciousness of worthiness, the very feeling of love fulfilled. When you say I am free, you are not describing your external circumstances. You are assuming the state of freedom, the consciousness of liberation, the very essence of unbound possibility. Now, here is where most people stumble. They think that assuming these states means pretending or lying to themselves. They believe they must somehow convince themselves that their external circumstances have changed when they clearly haven't. But this is not what I'm teaching at all. I'm not asking you to deny what your senses report. I'm asking you to recognize that what your senses report is simply the outpicturing of yesterday's assumptions, and that you have the power to plant new assumptions that will create new experiences. Think of it this way. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You don't worry and fret and wonder if it will grow. You simply trust that the seed contains within itself everything necessary for its full expression, and you go about your life knowing that in due time you will see the harvest. The same principle applies to your assumptions. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you have planted the seed of experience in the fertile soil of consciousness. You don't need to help it grow. You don't need to manipulate circumstances to make it happen. You simply need to maintain the assumption and trust that it contains within itself everything necessary for its full manifestation. But let me be even more specific about what I mean by doing nothing. I mean that you cease all action that comes from a sense of lack, limitation, or separation from your desire. When you feel compelled to act from desperation, from fear that your desire won't come to pass, from a sense that you must make something happen, this is the action I'm telling you to cease. This kind of action actually pushes desire away from you because it springs from the assumption that you don't already have what you want. Instead, the only action you should take is action that flows naturally from the assumption that you already are what you wish to be. If you have assumed the feeling of wealth and an investment opportunity presents itself, you might feel moved to investigate it, not from a desperate need to become wealthy, but from the natural curiosity of someone who already is wealthy. If you have assumed the feeling of being loved and someone attractive enters your life, you might feel moved to engage with them, not from a desperate need to find love, but from the natural confidence of someone who already knows they are beloved. You see the difference? One type of action comes from lack and actually reinforces the very state you're trying to escape. The other type of action comes from fulfillment and serves to externalize the state you have already claimed internally. The first type of action is what I'm telling you to cease. The second type of action will happen naturally and effortlessly once you've truly assumed your desired state. Now, let me share with you the secret that makes all of this possible. Every state of consciousness, every possible experience, every conceivable condition already exists in what I call the infinite states of being. Poverty exists as a state. Wealth exists as a state. Sickness exists as a state. Health exists as a state. Loneliness exists as a state. Love exists as a state. They all exist simultaneously, and you move between them not through external action, but through the simple act of assumption. Right now, as I speak these words, there is a version of you that is wealthy beyond measure. There is a version of you that is perfectly healthy. There is a version of you that is deeply loved and cherished. There is a version of you that is free from every limitation you currently experience. These are not fantasies or wishful thinking. These are actual states of being that exist in the realm of infinite possibility. The question is not whether these states exist, they do. The question is not whether you deserve to experience them, you do. The question is not whether it's possible for you to access them, it is. The only question is, which state will you choose to assume? Which version of yourself will you choose to be? And here's the beautiful part. The moment you assume a state, you become it. Not in some future time, not when conditions are right, not when you've done enough or worked hard enough or proven yourself worthy. Right now, in this very moment, as you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you become the person who already has what you desire. The external world may take some time to catch up and reflect this new assumption. But in the realm of consciousness, which is the only realm that truly matters, the transformation is instantaneous. This is why I can tell you to do nothing after this and watch how everything falls into place. Because once you've truly assumed your desired state, once you've claimed your good in consciousness, the entire universe must rearrange itself to match your assumption. This is not magic or wishful thinking. This is the fundamental law of consciousness, the very principle upon which all creation operates. But I must warn you about something. Your rational mind will resist this teaching with everything it has. It will tell you that you're being foolish, that you're living in a fantasy, that you need to be realistic about your situation. It will point to your current circumstances as evidence that your assumptions don't work. It will remind you of past failures and convince you that this time will be no different. This resistance is natural and expected. Your rational mind has been trained to believe in the reality of the external world, to put its faith in what can be seen and touched and measured. But I'm asking you to put your faith in something far more substantial, the creative power of your own consciousness. I am asking you to recognize that what you call reality is nothing more than the externalization of beliefs and assumptions you've held for so long that you've forgotten you chose them. When doubt arises, and it will, don't fight it. Don't try to convince yourself that your desire is already manifested when all evidence seems to suggest otherwise. Instead, simply return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Assume the state you wish to experience and rest in that assumption. Remember that feelings are the language of the subconscious mind, and it is through feeling that all transformation takes place. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. Suppose you desire to be financially free. Instead of focusing on how you might achieve this freedom, instead of making plans and taking action from a place of financial lack, you would begin by assuming the feeling of already being financially free. You would sit quietly and imagine what it would feel like to have complete financial security. Not what you would do with the money, not what you would buy, but the actual feeling of financial freedom itself. How would you feel if you never had to worry about money again? How would you feel if you could make any purchase without concern for the cost? How would you feel if you had complete control over your time because you weren't bound by financial necessity? Capture that feeling, embody it, live in it. Make it as real and natural as the feeling of being yourself, because that's exactly what it is. It's the feeling of being the version of yourself that already has financial freedom. Once you've assumed this feeling, once you've made it natural and familiar, you do nothing else. You don't chase opportunities. You don't force yourself to work harder. You don't try to manipulate circumstances. You simply live from the assumption that you are already financially free. And you allow the external world to conform to this inner conviction. This doesn't mean you become passive or lazy. It means that any action you take comes from the feeling of already having what you desire, rather than from the desperate need to get it. If opportunities present themselves, you evaluate them from the consciousness of wealth, not from the consciousness of lack. If inspiration strikes you to pursue a particular path, you follow it from the confidence of someone who already has financial freedom, not from the fear of someone who desperately needs it. The same principle applies to every area of your life. If you desire love, assume the feeling of being loved. If you desire health, assume the feeling of perfect vitality. If you desire success, assume the feeling of having already achieved your goals. In each case, you're not trying to get something you don't have. You're claiming something that already exists within the infinite states of being. Now, I want to address something that troubles many people when they first encounter this teaching. They ask, if everything already exists, if all states are already available, then why do we experience lack and limitation at all? Why isn't everyone already living in their desired state? The answer is simple, because most people don't know that they have the power to choose their state. They believe they are victims of circumstance, that their experiences are determined by external forces beyond their control. They look at their current situation and assume it's permanent, that it defines who they are and what's possible for them. But you are not most people. You are here tonight because something within you recognizes the truth of what I'm sharing. You sense that there's more to life than what you've been experiencing. You feel the stirring of a power within you that is capable of transforming every aspect of your existence. That power is your imagination, your ability to assume any state you choose and to live from that assumption until it becomes your external reality. Your imagination is not a mere faculty for daydreaming or fantasy. It is the creative power of God individualized in you. It is through imagination that you move between states of being. It is through imagination that you claim your good. It is through imagination that you transform your world. When you imagine yourself as already being the person you wish to become, when you feel yourself into the state you wish to experience, you are not pretending or make-believing. You are exercising the highest function of human consciousness. You are participating in the very act of creation itself. This is why the Bible tells us that God created man in his own image. You are made in the image of the Creator, which means you have the same creative power. The only difference is that God creates from the state of perfect fulfillment, knowing that all things are possible, while most humans create from states of lack and limitation, believing that their good is separate from them. But tonight you have the opportunity to change all of that, Tonight you can choose to create from the same state of perfect where God creates from. You can assume that you already are everything you wish to be, that you already have everything you desire, that you already live in the state of complete satisfaction and joy. And when you make this assumption, when you really feel yourself into this state, something miraculous happens. The entire structure of your reality begins to shift. Not through your efforts, not through your struggling, not through your trying to make things happen, but through the natural operation of consciousness itself. You see, consciousness is always externalizing itself. It cannot help but create external conditions that match its internal assumptions. This is not something you have to make happen. It's something that happens automatically, inevitably, lawfully. Your job is not to figure out how your assumption will manifest. Your job is simply to assume it and to persist in that assumption until it becomes as natural as breathing. This brings me to another crucial point. Many people assume their desired state for a few days or weeks, and when they don't see immediate external changes, they become discouraged and abandon their assumption. They go back to their old patterns of thinking and feeling, and then wonder why nothing changed. But I tell you that assumption is like planting a seed. You don't plant a seed today and expect to harvest fruit tomorrow. You plant the seed and you tend it with patient confidence, knowing that it contains within itself everything necessary for its full expression. You water it with your attention, you protect it from the weeds of doubt and fear, and you trust that in due season you will see the harvest. The same patience and persistence is required with your assumptions. When you assume a state, you've planted the seed of that experience in consciousness. It will grow and manifest in external form, but you must give it time. You must maintain your assumption even when the external world hasn't yet caught up. You must live from your desired state even when your senses report otherwise. This is what I mean by faith. Not faith in something external to yourself, not faith in a distant God who may or may not answer your prayers, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. Faith that your assumptions are creative. Faith that consciousness is always externalizing itself. Faith that what you assume to be true about yourself must, by the very nature of consciousness itself, become your external reality. Now let me share with you a profound secret that will accelerate your understanding of this principle. There is no time in consciousness. Past, present, and future are merely constructs of the rational mind. In consciousness, everything exists in an eternal now. This means that when you assume a state, you're not creating something new. You're claiming something that already exists in the timeless realm of being. Your desired state exists right now. The version of you that has everything you want exists right now. The experience you long for exists right now. Not in some future time when conditions are right, but right now in this eternal moment of consciousness. When you truly understand this, when you really grasp that your good already exists, and is available to you right now, you stop trying to make it happen and start allowing it to be. You stop efforting and struggling and start resting in the certainty of fulfillment. You stop chasing your desires and start living from them. This is the ultimate meaning of doing nothing. You do nothing to create your good because your good already exists. You do nothing to earn your desires because you already deserve them. You do nothing to make yourself worthy because you are already worthy. You simply assume the state of having what you want, and you rest in that assumption with perfect confidence. But here's what will happen when you truly embrace this teaching. The people around you will think you've lost your mind. They'll see you sitting quietly, apparently doing nothing to improve your situation, and they'll think you've given up. They'll offer advice about what you should be doing, what actions you should be taking, what steps you need to follow to get what you want. Ignore them. Not because they're bad people or because they don't care about you, but because they're operating from a completely different paradigm. They believe in the reality of the external world. They believe that change must come from outside in. They believe that you must do something to become something. But you now know better. You know that all change comes from within. You know that you don't become something by doing something. You do something by first becoming it in consciousness. You know that the external world is merely the shadow, and that all real change must first occur in the substance that cast the shadow, your own wonderful human imagination. So when others question your apparent inaction, when they wonder why you're not more concerned about your circumstances, when they ask what you're doing to solve your problems, you can smile knowingly and continue to rest in your assumption. You can continue to live from the end, to feel yourself into the state of your wish fulfilled, to be the person you wish to become. And as you persist in this assumption, as you make it more and more natural, something wonderful will begin to happen. The external world will start to shift in ways that seem miraculous to others but are perfectly natural to you. Opportunities will present themselves. Circumstances will align. People will come into your life who can help you. Resources will become available. Doors will open where once there were only walls. But here's the key. These external changes are not the cause of your transformation. They are the effect of it. They are not making you wealthy or healthy or love. They are simply reflecting the wealth and health and love that you have already claimed in consciousness. They are the shadow conforming to the substance, the external world matching the internal assumption. This is why you can do nothing and watch everything fall into place. Because once you've truly assumed your desired state, once you've claimed it in the only realm where claiming is possible, in consciousness, the entire universe must reorganize itself to match your assumption. This is not a favor the universe does for you. This is simply how consciousness works. This is the law of being itself. Now, I want to share with you the most profound aspect of this teaching. When you assume a state and persist in that assumption until it becomes natural, you don't just change your circumstances, you change who you are. You don't just get what you want, you become the person who has what you want. And once you become that person, having what you want is not an achievement or an acquisition. It's simply the natural expression of who you are. This is why the wealthy person attracts wealth effortlessly. It's not because they're doing something special or following some secret formula. It's because they have the consciousness of wealth. It's who they are, not what they do. This is why the healthy person maintains their health without struggle. It's because they have the consciousness of health. This is why the loved person is surrounded by love. It's because they have the consciousness of being beloved. When you assume a state and make it natural, you become that state. And when you become that state, having the external correlates of that state is as natural as having thoughts or feelings. You don't work to have thoughts. You simply have them because you are a thinking being. You don't struggle to have feelings. You simply have them because you are a feeling being. In the same way, when you become the state of wealth, you simply have wealth because wealth is the natural expression of who you have become. This is the secret that the mystical traditions have been pointing to for thousands of years. Be still and know that I am God. Be still, stop the frantic action that comes from believing your good is separate from you. No, assume, claim, become convinced that I am God, that the creative power of the universe exists within you as your own wonderful human imagination. When you are still, when you cease the outer activities that spring from inner insecurity, you create the space for your assumptions to take root and grow. When you know that you are the operant power in your own experience, you stop looking outside yourself for salvation and start claiming your good from within. But let me address one more concern that may be arising in your mind. You may be thinking, this sounds too good to be true. If it were really this simple, wouldn't everyone be living their ideal life? Wouldn't everyone be wealthy and healthy and happy? The answer is that it is this simple. But it's not easy for most people because they've been conditioned to believe in the opposite of what I'm teaching. They've been taught that the external world is real and that consciousness is just a byproduct of brain activity. They've been taught that they must work hard and struggle to get what they want. They've been taught that they are separate from their desires and must somehow bridge that gap through action. These beliefs are so deeply ingrained, so thoroughly accepted, that most people never question them. They live their entire lives operating from these assumptions, and their experiences faithfully reflect them. They struggle because they believe struggle is necessary. They lack because they believe lack is their natural state. They suffer because they believe suffering is unavoidable. But you have been given a different understanding. You have been shown the truth about the nature of consciousness and the power of assumption. You have been invited to see beyond the world of appearances to the world of causes. You have been offered the key to every prison you have ever imagined yourself to be in. The question now is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you dismiss it as too good to be true and return to your old patterns of struggle and striving? Will you try it for a few days and then abandon it when you don't see immediate results? Or will you embrace it fully, commit to it completely, and persist in your assumptions until they become your external reality? I hope you choose the latter, because you deserve to live the life of your dreams. You deserve to experience every good thing you have ever desired. You deserve to be wealthy and healthy and loved and free, not because of what you've done or what you might do, but simply because you exist, because you are consciousness itself individualized as a human being. And consciousness by its very nature is unlimited. It is infinite possibility, eternal expansion, boundless creativity. When you identify yourself with consciousness rather than with your circumstances, when you recognize that you are the I am that exists before all conditions and experiences, you discover that there is nothing you cannot be, nothing you cannot have, nothing you cannot experience. This is your true nature. This is who you really are. Not the struggling, seeking, limited being that appears in the world of shadows, but the unlimited, creative, divine being that exists in the realm of consciousness. When you know yourself as consciousness, when you operate from this level of being, you discover that you need do nothing to have everything, because everything already exists within you. So I leave you tonight with this final thought. You are not in the world is in you. Your circumstances are not determining your experience. Your consciousness is creating your circumstances. You are not at the mercy of external forces. You are the creative power that is expressing itself as your external world. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Persist in that assumption until it becomes natural. Live from the end, knowing that what you desire already exists and is available to you right now. Do nothing that springs from the belief that your good is separate from you, and do everything that flows from the assumption that you already are what you wish to become. When you do this, when you really understand and apply this principle, you will discover that you need do nothing after this. And you will watch and wonder as everything falls into place exactly as it should. Not through your efforts, not through your struggles, not through your attempts to make things happen, but through the natural, inevitable, lawful operation of consciousness itself. This is the promise I make to you tonight. This is the truth I share with you from the depths of my own experience and understanding. You have within you right now everything you need to transform your life completely. You need add nothing to yourself. You need do nothing external to claim your good. You need only assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption until it becomes your external reality. The power is yours. The choice is yours. The life you have always dreamed of living is yours for the claiming. All you need do is assume it, and everything else will fall into place exactly as it should.
In the silence of your heart, there is a truth that resonates louder than any voice God's plan for you is unshakable. Life may throw its fiercest storms, people may try to dim your light, and circumstances may attempt to block your path, but nothing can halt the divine orchestration of God's will in your life. His plan is not dependent on human approval, nor is it swayed by the opinion of peer or actions of others. It is rooted in His infinite wisdom and boundless love. When challenges arise, it is easy to feel forgotten or lost. You may wonder if the setbacks you face are signs of failure or abandonment. But remember, the obstacles in your way are not detours away from God's purpose, they are stepping stones. They are tools He uses to refine your character, strengthen your faith, and prepare you for the blessings He has already set aside for you. No trial is wasted when it is surrendered to God. There are moments when people may doubt you, criticize you, or even stand against you. Their words may sting, and their actions may seem to delay your progress. But let this truth settle in your soul: no weapon formed against you will prosper, because God's hand is upon you. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who raised Lazarus from the dead, and who conquered death itself is the one who has written your destiny. His plan does not falter because of human interference. He has already accounted for every challenge, every delay, and every mistake. You are not defined by your past or limited by your present. God sees the full picture. He knows the dreams He has placed in your heart, and He knows the right time and way to bring them to fruition. Trust that His timing is perfect. It may not always align with your expectations, but it is always for your good. When doors close, it's not because you are unworthy, it's because He has something far greater waiting for you. When delays occur, it's not because you are forgotten, it's because He is aligning circumstances in ways you cannot yet see. Faith is the anchor that holds you steady as you wait. It is the assurance that even when you cannot see the path ahead, the one who leads you sees it all. It is the confidence that His promises are not empty and His plans are not fragile. Stand firm in that faith. Speak life over your dreams, even when doubt whispers otherwise. Declare God's truth over your journey, even when the road feels uncertain. Your life is not a series of random events, it is a masterpiece in progress. Every brushstroke of joy and sorrow, every layer of triumph and trial is part of a grand design. God is the artist, and He is not finished yet. Trust Him to complete the work He has started in you. He is the author of your story, and no one else holds the pen. When fear tries to paralyze you, when disappointment tries to dishearten you, and when uncertainty tries to discourage you, remind yourself of this God's plan, for you cannot be stopped. Not by people, not by circumstances, and not by anything in this world. His love is your foundation, His grace is your strength, and His purpose for your life is unshakable. God's plan is unshakable. This truth is a foundation that cannot be moved, no matter the storms or challenges that arise in life. His plan is rooted in eternity, crafted with love and wisdom that surpasses human understanding. It is not something fragile or uncertain, nor is it influenced by the circumstances we see or the opinions of others. God's plan is like a mighty river, flowing with purpose and power, carving a path even through the hardest of obstacles. The world often presents us with a narrative that we must be in control of every detail of our lives, that our destiny depends solely on our efforts, or that unforeseen circumstances can derail our purpose. But this perspective is limited, for it fails to recognize the sovereignty of God. His plan for each of us was established long before we took our first breath. The scriptures remind us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." These words are not mere encouragement, they are a declaration of certainty, a promise that transcends the temporal and anchors us in the eternal. There may be moments in life when it feels like everything is falling apart, as if the dreams we've cherished are slipping through our fingers. Doors may close, opportunities may vanish, and paths may seem blocked. It's in these moments that the strength of God's plan becomes evident. What appears to be a setback is often a setup for something greater. The delays and detours we face are not the end of the story, but chapters in the unfolding masterpiece of our lives. God's plan is not contingent on the conditions of the world or the cooperation of others. He moves beyond human limitations, working all things together for the good of those who love Him. Doubt may whisper that you are unworthy, that you have made too many mistakes, or that your time has passed. But God's plan is not dependent on your perfection. His grace covers your imperfections, and His power is made perfect in your weakness. The Bible is filled with examples of ordinary people who, despite their flaws and failures, were used mightily by God. Moses doubted his ability to lead. David stumbled into sin, and Peter denied Christ. Yet their destinies were fulfilled because God's plan for their lives was unshakable. He doesn't call the perfect, He perfects the called. This unshakable plan is not just for the grand moments of life, but also for the quiet, everyday steps of faith. It is active in the big decisions and the small choices, in the victories and the struggles. Trusting in His plan means releasing the need to control, and instead embracing the assurance that He is in control. It is living with the confidence that no matter what happens, His purpose for your life will prevail. God's plan is not just a hope for tomorrow, it is a reality unfolding today. Nothing in heaven or on earth can stop it. Obstacles are often seen as barriers, as reasons to doubt or give up, but through the lens of faith, they become stepping stones. Every challenge, every difficulty, and every moment of resistance is an opportunity for growth and transformation. They are not meant to deter us, but to strengthen us, to refine our character, and to prepare us for the next stage of our journey. God allows these moments not as punishments, but as purposeful parts of His divine plan, shaping us into who we are meant to be. When we encounter obstacles, it is natural to feel frustrated or disheartened. We might question why things aren't going according to our expectations, or why we seem to face resistance at every turn. However, it is in these very moments that God's greater purpose is at work. Challenges teach us perseverance, deepen our faith, and remind us to rely not on our own strength, but on His. The story of Joseph in the Bible is a perfect example. Betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and wrongfully imprisoned, Joseph faced trial after trial. Yet every obstacle he encountered was a step closer to the fulfillment of God's promise. What others intended for harm, God used for good, positioning Joseph to save a nation. Obstacles also reveal our hidden strengths and abilities. Often it is only when we are pushed to our limits that we discover the depth of our resilience and the power of our faith. Challenges force us to step out of our comfort zones, to confront our fears, and to grow in ways we never thought possible. They remind us that we are not walking alone, that God is with us, guiding us through every trial. When David faced Goliath, it wasn't just a battle between a shepherd and a giant, it was a moment of preparation for the leadership and victories that lay ahead. The obstacles in David's life were stepping stones, building his courage, trust in God, and readiness to fulfill his destiny. It's also important to recognize that obstacles often redirect us to something better. What may feel like a failure or a closed door is often God's way of steering us toward a greater opportunity. We may not understand it at the time, but hindsight reveals how the challenges we faced were necessary steps on the path to our calling. Think of the Israelites wandering in the wilderness. What seemed like a delay was God's way of preparing them to enter the promised land. Without the lessons learned in the wilderness, they would not have been ready to claim their inheritance. Obstacles demand trust. They require us to believe that God's plan is greater than our understanding, and that every step, even the difficult ones, is part of His purpose. They remind us to lean into His strength, to keep moving forward even when the way seems unclear. The very challenges that seem to block our path are often the tools God uses to shape us, elevate us, and propel us toward His perfect plan. Human interference cannot alter God's divine will. This truth is both reassuring and empowering because it reminds us that no person, no decision, and no opposition can derail the plans that God has set in motion. His authority is absolute and His purposes are immovable. While people may attempt to hinder, delay, or even work against you, their actions are never outside the bounds of God's sovereignty. What God has ordained for your life will come to pass, regardless of human attempts to disrupt it. People may try to discourage you, diminish your confidence, or convince you that you are unworthy of what God has in store. They may judge you based on your past, misunderstand your intentions, or resist your progress. Yet none of this can undo what God has already decided. His plans are not subject to public opinion or reliant on human approval. When God opens a door, no one can shut it. When He declares a promise over your life, no amount of opposition can nullify it. This truth was evident in the life of Jesus, whose mission faced relentless opposition. Despite the schemes of the Pharisees, the betrayal by Judas, and the disbelief of many, God's purpose was fulfilled. No human effort could stop the redemption of humanity through Christ. Sometimes the interference of others feels overwhelming. You may encounter betrayal, jealousy, or unfair treatment. It can feel as though people's actions are succeeding in holding you back. But remember, God is not surprised by any of it. He sees what you cannot see and knows what you do not know. He has already accounted for every challenge and every act of opposition. In fact, he can use these very things to advance his plan. What others mean for harm, God can transform into good. The story of Nehemiah rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem is a powerful example. Despite the ridicule and sabotage attempts from his enemies, the walls were completed because Nehemiah relied on God's guidance. Human interference could not stop the divine assignment. God's will is also independent of human cooperation. You don't need everyone to believe in you or support you for God's plan to succeed. He often works through unlikely circumstances and unexpected people. Consider how God used Moses, a man with a speech impediment, to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Pharaoh resisted time and again, but God's plan prevailed. Similarly, God used Esther, a young Jewish woman, to save her people despite the schemes of Haman. Human efforts to thwart God's purpose only set the stage for His glory to be revealed. It is easy to feel discouraged when others misunderstand or oppose you. Yet these moments are opportunities to trust in God's higher ways. His plans are unstoppable, His power unmatched, and His wisdom unsearchable. What He has set in motion cannot be undone by human hands. People may try to interfere, but they are ultimately powerless against the will of the Almighty. Every attempt to block your progress only serves to magnify His ability to accomplish His purpose in your life. God's timing is perfect, a truth that often challenges our human perspective, but ultimately brings peace when we embrace it. In a world driven by deadlines, urgency, and instant gratification, waiting for God's timing can feel like a test of patience and faith. Yet His timing is not random or delayed, it is divinely orchestrated, unfolding in a way that aligns with His eternal plan and our ultimate good. Every moment, every event, and every season is precisely positioned in the timeline of our lives to fulfill His purpose. When we look at life through our limited lens, we often desire things immediately. We pray for breakthroughs, opportunities, or resolutions, expecting them to happen on our schedule. However, God operates outside of time as we know it. His view is infinite, and He sees the entirety of our lives, the beginning, the middle, and the end. What seems like a delay to us is often preparation in His divine plan. He is not only preparing the blessing, but also preparing us to receive it. Just as a seed must undergo time in the soil before it can grow into a flourishing plant, there are seasons of waiting that are necessary for our growth and readiness. In the Bible, the story of Abraham and Sarah illustrates the perfection of God's timing. They were promised a child, but that promise took years to be fulfilled. Their waiting period was not wasted, it was a time of learning, trusting, and deepening their relationship with God. When Isaac was finally born, it was evident that his arrival was not just about fulfilling a promise, but about showcasing God's faithfulness and sovereignty. Had the promise come immediately, the magnitude of God's work in their lives might have been overlooked. The waiting made the fulfillment even more powerful. God's timing is also protective. There are moments when we feel ready for something, but God, in His wisdom, knows we are not. He may withhold an opportunity, not as a denial, but as a safeguard. If we rush ahead of His plan, we may encounter challenges we are unprepared to face or misuse blessings that we are not yet equipped to handle. His timing ensures that we receive His gifts when they will be most impactful and beneficial, both for us and for those around us. Joseph's journey from the pit to the palace is a profound example. Though his dreams of leadership were real, he had to endure years of trials before stepping into his role. Each delay was part of God's perfect preparation. Trusting God's timing requires surrender. It means letting go of our desire to control and embracing the assurance that He is in control. It is an act of faith to believe that His delays are not denials and that His pace is purposeful. During the waiting seasons, we are called to remain faithful, to keep seeking Him, and to trust that He is working behind the scenes. His timing is never late, and it is always worth the wait. What He has planned for us will come to pass at exactly the right moment. Faith is the foundation of our trust in God's plan. It is the unwavering belief that even when we cannot see the path ahead, God is leading us exactly where we need to go. Faith goes beyond mere optimism or hope. It is the certainty that God is who He says He is and will do what He has promised. This kind of trust is not dependent on circumstances, but is anchored in God's unchanging nature. Faith is what enables us to walk forward, even in uncertainty, because we know that His plan is perfect. Faith often requires stepping into the unknown. It means choosing to believe in God's promises when the evidence around us seems to suggest otherwise. Abraham demonstrated this kind of faith when God called him to leave his homeland and go to a place he did not know. Abraham didn't have a map or a timeline, but he trusted in God's word and obeyed. His faith became the cornerstone of his relationship with God and the fulfillment of the covenant that would bless generations to come. Faith, then, is not about having all the answers, but about trusting the one who does. Life is filled with moments that test our faith. There are times when the way forward seems blocked, when prayers seem unanswered, and when the weight of challenges feels unbearable. In these moments, it is tempting to question God's plan or to rely on our own understanding. Yet faith calls us to surrender our doubts and trust in God's greater perspective. The story of Peter walking on water is a vivid example. When Peter focused on Jesus, he was able to do the impossible. But the moment he let fear and doubt take over, he began to sink. Faith keeps us anchored, even in the storm, reminding us that God is in control. Faith is not passive, it requires action. It is not simply believing in God's promises, but living as though they are already fulfilled. When we act in faith, we align ourselves with God's will and demonstrate our trust in His timing and provision. The woman with the issue of blood acted in faith when she reached out to touch Jesus' garment, believing she would be healed. Her faith was the catalyst for her miracle. In the same way, our faith moves us to take steps, even small ones, toward the promises God has placed before us. Faith also brings peace. When we trust in God's plan, we no longer feel the need to control every detail of our lives. We can rest in the assurance that He is working all things for our good. This peace doesn't mean the absence of trials, but the presence of God's comfort and guidance within them. Faith transforms our perspective, allowing us to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow and deepen our reliance on God. Faith is the bridge between God's promises and their fulfillment. It is what allows us to walk forward with confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, God's plan for us is good, and His purposes will prevail. God's plans for us are filled with hope, purpose, and victory, even when life's circumstances suggest otherwise. At times, the challenges and trials we face can cloud our understanding of His intentions, leading us to question whether the difficulties we endure have any purpose. But God's plans are not only good, they are divinely crafted to bring us closer to Him and to fulfill His higher purpose for our lives. His promises remind us that He is always working for our ultimate good, even when we cannot see it. The promise of Jeremiah 29:11 echoes this truth. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. These words were spoken to the Israelites during a time of exile, a season of hardship and uncertainty. Yet even in that difficult moment, God assured them that their suffering was not the end of their story. He had a future of restoration and blessings waiting for them. This assurance is the same for us today. No matter where we find ourselves, God's plans are steadfast, filled with hope, and focused on our growth. Life may often present circumstances that feel anything but hopeful. Perhaps we face setbacks, losses, or prolonged seasons of waiting that leave us wondering if God's promises will ever be fulfilled. It is in these moments that we must cling to His word and trust in His character. God's goodness is not negated by our trials. On the contrary, He uses them to shape us, strengthen our faith, and prepare us for the greater things He has in store. The Apostle Paul understood this deeply when he wrote in Romans 8:28 that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. The victories that come from God's plans often emerge from what initially seems like defeat. The cross is the ultimate example of this. At the time, it appeared to be the end of Jesus' ministry, a moment of despair for His followers. But what looked like loss was actually the greatest victory in history. Through the cross, God's plan of redemption for humanity was fulfilled, proving that His ways are far higher and more powerful than we can comprehend. In our lives, too, what seems like failure or delay can be the groundwork for a divine breakthrough. God's plans also carry an eternal perspective, reminding us that our hope is not confined to this world. While His blessings are evident in our present lives, His ultimate goal is to draw us closer to Him and prepare us for eternity. The hope we find in His plans transcends temporary circumstances, grounding us in the assurance of His unchanging love. Every step of the journey, whether filled with joy or trials, is part of His perfect design for our lives. Even in the darkest moments, God's plans shine through with purpose and hope. His goodness, faithfulness, and promises are unshakable, giving us the strength to persevere, trust, and walk forward in confidence. The victory He has prepared for us is not just for today, it is for eternity, and it is certain. In the grand tapestry of life, God's plan is the thread that binds everything together with purpose, hope, and love. It is a plan that transcends our understanding, yet it is always for our good. Through His timing, His promises, and the unwavering assurance of His faithfulness, we are reminded that nothing, no obstacle, no delay, no challenge can hinder what He has ordained for us. Our role is to trust, to walk in faith, and to align ourselves with His will, knowing that He is always working behind the scenes. His plans are not just about achieving victories or receiving blessings, they are about transforming us, drawing us closer to Him, and fulfilling a purpose far greater than we can imagine. With God, we are never alone, never forgotten, and always on the path toward a hope-filled future. Let us hold fast to this truth, rest in His promises, and move forward with confidence, for His plans will always prevail.
Let us begin this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. For in these principles lies the key to your freedom, your peace, and your ultimate power. Principle 1, the power of consciousness. The first and most fundamental principle we must grasp is that consciousness is the only reality. Everything you perceive, everything you experience, every circumstance in your life is but an outpicturing of your consciousness. The world you see is a mirror reflecting back to you your own mental states, your own assumptions about reality. Many of you may find this concept challenging to accept at first. You may argue, but Neville, I see a solid world around me. I feel it, I interact with it. Surely this is reality. To this I say, what you perceive as solid and real is nothing more than a shadow cast by the light of your conscience. Consider for a moment your dreams. When you're in a dream, does it not feel real? Do you not interact with people, touch objects, experience emotions? Yet when you awaken, you realize it was all a creation of your mind. I tell you now, what you call your waking life is no different. It is a dream, a grand collective dream, but a dream nonetheless. Once you truly grasp this principle, once you internalize it and live from it, you will understand that nothing can affect you unless you allow it to affect your consciousness. For you are not a powerless observer of reality, but the very creator of it. This understanding is the foundation upon which all else is built. It is the bedrock of your invincibility, the source of your power. For if consciousness is the only reality, and you are the master of your consciousness, then you are the master of your reality. But how do we wield this power? How do we shape our consciousness to create the reality we desire? This leads us seamlessly into our second principle. Principle 2, the law of assumption. The law of assumption states that if you assume a state to be true and persist in that assumption, it must harden into fact. This law is the cornerstone of creation, the very mechanism by which you shape your reality. When you assume a state, you are essentially declaring to the universe, this is who I am. This is what is true for me. And the universe, being nothing more than an outpicturing of your consciousness, has no choice but to conform to your assumption. But remember, my dear friends, this law works both ways. If you persistently assume limitation, lack, or fear, these two will harden into fact. This is why so many people find themselves trapped in cycles of negativity and misfortune. They are unwittingly assuming these states into existence. The key then is to consciously choose your assumptions. Assume states of abundance, of joy, of success, of love. Persist in these assumptions regardless of any seeming contradictions in your external reality. For remember, the external is but a shadow of your past assumptions. As you change your assumptions, the shadow must change to match the new shape of your consciousness. This principle of assumption is your shield against the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. For how can external circumstances affect you when you know that you are the very author of those circumstances? But assumption alone is not enough. To truly harness the power of this principle, we must understand the role of feeling, which brings us to our third principle. Principle 3, the importance of feeling. Now, as we delve deeper into these principles, we come to a crucial understanding. It is not enough to merely think about your desired state. You must feel it. You must embody it with every fiber of your being. Feeling is the secret, my dear listeners. It is the bridge between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, between your current reality and your desired reality. When you can genuinely feel the reality of your desire, when you can live in the emotion of your wish fulfilled, you activate a power beyond your wildest imagination. Think for a moment of a time when you were deeply in love. Recall the feeling, the emotion of it. How did it color your world? How did it affect your perceptions, your actions, your very being? This is the power of feeling. It transforms you from the inside out. In the same way, when you can feel the reality of desire, when you can live in the emotion of your wish fulfilled, you transform your entire being. You begin to think, act, and perceive in alignment with your desired reality. And as you do so, the external world has no choice but to reflect this new state back to you. This principle of feeling is your armor against the assaults of doubt and fear. For when you are filled with the feeling of your desire fulfilled, how can doubt find a foothold? How can fear take root? They simply cannot penetrate the radiant energy of your assumed state. But how do we generate these feelings? How do we create such vivid, transformative emotions? This brings us to our fourth principle, a principle that unlocks the full creative power of your mind. Principle 4, the power of imagination. As we progress in our understanding, we come to the fourth principle, the power of imagination. My dear friends, your imagination is not some idle fantasy factory. It is the very workshop of creation. It is the place where all things, all experiences, all states of being are first conceived before they are brought forth into physical reality. Einstein once said, imagination is more important than knowledge. For knowledge is limited to all we now know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world, and all there ever will be to know and understand. Your imagination is the gateway to infinite possibilities. It is the realm where you can try on new states of being, where you can explore new realities, where you can shape your world according to your deepest desires. When you imagine, you are not merely daydreaming. You are engaging in the most profound act of creation. For remember, consciousness is the only reality, and your imagination is the tool by which you shape your consciousness. Imagine yourself as the person you wish to be. See yourself living the life you desire. Feel the emotions associated with your wish fulfilled. Do this vividly, do this often, and do this with a firm conviction that what you are imagining is not some far-off possibility, but a present reality. This principle of imagination is your sword against the limitations of your current circumstances. For how can your current reality constrain you when you can, at any moment, step into a new reality in your imagination? But what of the past? What of the memories and experiences that seem to contradict our desired state? This brings us to our fifth principle, a principle that grants you power over time itself. Principle 5, the art of revision. Now we come to a principle that many find particularly powerful, the art of revision. This principle teaches us that we can go back into our past and change it. Not in a physical sense, of course, but in our consciousness, which, as we've established, is the only reality. You might ask, but Neville, how can we change the past? Isn't it fixed? To this I say, the past only exists in your memory. And memory is not fixed. It is fluid, constantly being rewritten by your present state of consciousness. When you revise a past event, you are not denying that it happened. Rather, you are choosing to remember it differently. You are rewriting the story in a way that serves your present and future. For example, if you had an argument with a loved one, instead of replaying the argument over and over in your mind, reinforcing the negative emotions associated with it, you can revise it. Imagine the conversation going differently. See yourself and the other person coming to a loving understanding. Feel the warmth and connection between you. As you do this, you are not merely engaging in wishful thinking. You are actually reshaping your consciousness. And as your consciousness changes, your present reality must change to reflect it. This principle of revision is your time machine. It allows you to go back and plant seeds of positivity in your past, seeds that will bear fruit in your present and future. Or how can past events affect you when you have the power to revise them at will? But as we reshape our past and imagine our future, we must be careful not to fall into the trap of attachment. This brings us to our sixth principle, a principle that teaches us the power of letting go. Principle 6, the law of detachment. As we delve deeper into these principles, we come to one that many find challenging, the law of detachment. This law states that to manifest your desires, you must release your attachment to them. This may seem counterintuitive. You might think, but Neville, if I want something badly, shouldn't I focus on it intensely? The answer, paradoxically, is no. For intense focus often comes from a place of lack, a place of not having. And remember, what you assume, you create. Instead, cultivate a state of detachment. This doesn't mean you don't care about your desires. Rather, it means you trust so completely in the law of assumption, in the power of your consciousness, that you can relax into the knowing that your desire is already yours. Think of it this way. When you order a meal at a restaurant, do you sit there fretting about whether it will come? Do you constantly ask the waiter where your food is? No, you relax. You engage in conversation. You enjoy the ambience. You know your meal is being prepared and will arrive at the perfect time. In the same way, once you have placed your order with the universe through your assumption and feeling, relax. Trust in the process. Know that what you have assumed must come to pass in its own perfect timing. This principle of detachment is your shield against anxiety and impatience. For how can you be anxious about the future when you know with absolute certainty that your desire is already yours? But detachment does not mean inaction. It does not mean we sit back and wait for our desires to manifest. This brings us to our seventh principle, a principle that teaches us the power of consistent action. Principle 7, the power of persistence. Now, my dear listeners, we come to a principle that is crucial for your success, the power of persistence. This principle teaches us that we must persist in our assumption, regardless of any seeming contradictions in our external reality. Remember the story of Joshua and the walls of Jericho. For 6 days, Joshua and his army marched around the city, blowing their trumpets with no visible result. But on the 7th day, when they gave a mighty shout, the walls came tumbling down. This story beautifully illustrates the principle of persistence. Joshua and his men didn't give up when they saw no immediate results. They persisted in their assumption, in their faith, until their desire manifested. In the same way, you must persist in your assumption of your desired state. Even when your senses deny it, even when the world seems to contradict it, you must hold fast to your assumption. For remember, what you see in the external world is always the result of past assumptions. It tells you where you've been, not where you're going. Persistence doesn't mean struggle or strain. It simply means a calm, unwavering faith in the reality of your assumption. It means choosing again and again to live from the state of your wish fulfilled, regardless of any seeming evidence to the contrary. This principle of persistence is your steadfast companion on the journey of manifestation. For how can temporary setbacks discourage you when you know that your persistent assumption must eventually bear fruit? But persistence must be balanced with rest. It must be coupled with a deep sense of peace and completion. This brings us to our eighth principle, a principle that teaches us the power of divine rest. Principle 8, the Sabbath. As we continue our exploration, we come to a principle that is often overlooked but is of utmost importance, the principle of the Sabbath. In this context, the Sabbath is not a specific day of the week, but rather a state of mind, a state of rest and completion. After you have assumed your desire, after you have felt it real, after you have persisted in your assumption, there comes a point where you must rest. This rest is not inaction, but rather a deep, abiding peace that comes from knowing your desire is already yours. In the biblical account of creation, God rested on the seventh day, not because he was tired, but because the work was complete. In the same way, you must come to a point where you can rest in the absolute knowing that your desire is manifested. This state of Sabbath is characterized by a profound sense of gratitude. You are grateful not for what you will receive, but for what you have already received. For in consciousness, in the only reality that truly matters, your desire is already yours. Entering this Sabbath state is crucial for manifestation. It is the final seal on your assumption, the period at the end of your aversion to the universe. It is the state from which miracles naturally flow. This principle of the Sabbath is your oasis of peace in the journey of creation. For how can you be disturbed by external circumstances when you rest in the deep knowing that all is well, all is complete? But as we rest in this state of completion, we must also understand the dynamic nature of creation. We must grasp the reciprocal relationship between our inner and outer worlds. This brings us to our ninth principle, a principle that reveals the true nature of cause and effect. Principle 9, the law of reversibility. Now, my dear friends, we come to a principle that may challenge your current understanding of cause and effect, the law of reversibility. This law states that while a physical fact can be the cause of an imagination, it is equally true that an imagination can be the cause of a physical fact. In other words, while it's true that external circumstances can affect your mental state, it's equally true that your mental state can affect external circumstances. And since you have direct control over your mental state, you have indirect but very real control over your circumstances. For example, it's commonly believed that wealth brings a feeling of abundance. And this can certainly be true. But it's equally true that cultivating a feeling of abundance can bring wealth. The same is true for any state or circumstance you desire. This principle of reversibility puts the power back in your hands. Instead of waiting for circumstances to change so that you can feel better, you can feel better now, knowing that this feeling will inevitably lead to improved circumstances. Remember, the external world is but a shadow of your consciousness. Change your consciousness, and the shadow must change. This is not wishful thinking or self-deception. This is working with the fundamental laws of creation. This principle of reversibility is your key to freedom from external conditions. For how can circumstances control you when you know that you can reverse the flow, creating circumstances from your chosen mental state? But to truly harness the power of all these principles, to become truly invincible to external influences, we must understand one final, all-encompassing principle. This brings us to our 10th and most profound principle, the principle that underpins all of creation. Principle 10, the I am. And now, my dear listeners, we come to the 10th and most profound principle, the I am. This principle is the foundation upon which all the others rest. It is the ultimate truth of your being. I am is the name of God. And it is your name too, for you are not separate from God, but an individualized expression of the divine. When you say I am, you are invoking the creative power of the universe. Whatever follows I am in your consciousness becomes your reality. If you say I am weak, you invoke and embody weakness. If you say I am strong, you invoke and embody strength. This is not mere positive thinking. This is aligning yourself with the creative power of the universe. Understanding this principle, you realize that you are not at the mercy of external circumstances or internal states. You are the chooser of your state. At any moment, you can declare I am and follow it with whatever state you wish to embody. This principle of I am is the ultimate shield against all that would affect you. For how can anything disturb you when you know that you are one with the creative power of the universe? My dear friends, as we conclude our exploration of these 10 principles, I want you to realize the immense power that lies within you. These principles are not mere theories or philosophical concepts. They are practical tools for living keys to unlocking the infinite potential that resides within you. When you truly grasp these principles, when you live from them consistently, you become unshakable. Nothing can affect you because you know that you are the affecting power in your world. You are not a victim of circumstances, but the creator of them. Imagine for a moment what your life would be like if you fully embodied these principles. Imagine moving through your days with the unshakable knowing that you are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. Imagine facing challenges not with fear or anxiety, but with the calm certainty that you have the power to overcome them, to transform them, to use them for your growth and evolution. This is not a fantasy, my friends. This is your birthright. This is the truth of who you are. But remember, knowing these principles intellectually is not enough. You must apply them. You must live them. You must become them. Start now. Choose a state you wish to embody. Perhaps it's confidence, or abundance, or love. Assume that state. Feel it. Live from it. Persist in it. Revise your past to align with it. Detach from the outcome, knowing it's already yours. Enter the Sabbath, grateful completion. Understand that your assumption of this state is creating your reality, and declare with all the power of your being, I am, followed by your chosen state. As you do this, you will begin to see changes in your world. At first, they may be small. A shift in how people respond to you, a fortunate coincidence, an unexpected opportunity. But as you persist, as you deepen your understanding and application of these principles, the changes will become more profound. Your entire life will begin to reshape itself to match your new state of consciousness. And through it all, you will remain unaffected by the storms of life. For you will know with unshakable certainty that you are the weather maker. You are the creator of your reality. My dear friends, this is the promise of these 10 principles. This is the power that lies within you. Embrace it, live it, become it, and watch as your world transforms before your very eyes. But let us delve even deeper into the practical application of these principles, for it is in their consistent application that true mastery is achieved. Consider your daily life. From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, you are constantly declaring your state of being. Every thought, every emotion, every reaction is a declaration of who you are. Are you declaring states of limitation and fear, or states of abundance and power? Begin to consciously choose your declarations. When you wake up in the morning, instead of immediately thinking about the challenges of the day ahead, declare, I am blessed. I am abundant. I am powerful. Feel the truth of these statements. Let them permeate your being. As you go about your day, be vigilant of your mental states. When you encounter a challenging situation, instead of reacting with anxiety or frustration, pause. Remember, this situation is but an outpicturing of your past assumptions. Then, consciously choose a new assumption. Declare, I am capable of handling this with ease and grace. Practice the art of revision throughout your day. If you have an unpleasant interaction with someone, don't let it linger in your consciousness. As soon as possible, close your eyes and revise the scene. See it playing out harmoniously. Feel the emotions of a pleasant, fulfilling interaction. This is not denial, this is conscious creation. Use your imagination constantly. Before important events or meetings, take a few moments to imagine them unfolding perfectly. See yourself speaking with confidence, being received warmly, achieving your desired outcomes. Feel the satisfaction and joy of these successful scenarios. Cultivate the state of the Sabbath. At the end of each day, before you sleep, enter a state of deep gratitude and completion. Regardless of what transpired during the day, choose to rest in the knowing that all is well. All is unfolding perfectly for your highest good. Practice detachment by focusing on the joy of the journey rather than the attainment of specific outcomes. Find pleasure in the process of growth and transformation. Trust that as you align yourself with these principles, your external reality must conform to your new state of consciousness. Remember the law of reversibility. If you find yourself in undesirable circumstances, instead of waiting for them to change so you can feel better, choose to feel better now. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, knowing that this feeling will inevitably bring about the circumstances you desire. And above all, be constant in your awareness of the I am. Let every thought, every word, every action be a conscious expression of your divine nature. For in this constant awareness lies true invincibility. My dear friends, as you integrate these principles into your daily life, you will find yourself becoming more and more impervious to external influences. You will no longer be swayed by the opinions of others, by temporary setbacks, or by apparent obstacles. For you will know with every fiber of your being that you are the creator of your reality. But this journey of mastery is not just for your own benefit. As you embody these principles, as you live from this elevated state of consciousness, you become a beacon of light in the world. You inspire others by your example. You show them what is possible when we fully embrace our divine nature. For remember, the world is yourself pushed out. As you transform your own consciousness, you contribute to the transformation of the entire world. Every assumption of a higher state, every act of revision, every moment of Sabbath rest ripples out into the collective consciousness, elevating all of humanity. This is the true power of these principles. They not only free you from the influence of external circumstances, but they also empower you to become a force for positive change in the world. Imagine a world where more and more people understand and apply these principles. Imagine a collective consciousness rooted in abundance, love, and endless possibility. This is the world you are helping to create as you master these principles in your own life. So I urge you, my dear friends, to take these principles to heart. Study them, apply them, live them, or in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but contribute to the transformation of the entire world. Go forth now, armed with this knowledge, empowered by this understanding. Be the conscious creator you were born to be. For in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but you contribute to the transformation of the entire world. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. As you embody these principles, as you live from this elevated state of consciousness, you uplift all of humanity. You become a beacon of light, showing others what is possible when we fully embrace our divine nature. In closing, I want to remind you of a profound truth. You are not merely a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And armed with these 10 principles, you can make that human experience as glorious, as joyful, as abundant as you choose. Be bold in your assumptions. Be daring in your imagination. Be unwavering in your persistence. For you are the operant power in your world. You are the author of your life story. Nothing can affect you unless you allow it to affect your consciousness. Go now and create the life you've always dreamed of. For you are the architects of your own destiny, the creators of your own reality. Nothing can affect you when you live from these principles. For you are one with the creative power of the universe. And as you go forth, remember that this journey of mastery is ongoing. Each day presents new opportunities to deepen your understanding, to refine your application of these principles. Embrace these opportunities. Welcome the challenges that arise, for they are but invitations to prove the power of your consciousness. Let every experience, whether perceived as positive or negative, be a testament to your creative power. For in truth, there are no positive or negative experiences. There are only opportunities for growth, for deepening your understanding, for strengthening your faith in the power of your consciousness. As you continue on this path, you will find that your life becomes a living demonstration of these principles. You will become living proof of the transformative power of consciousness. And in doing so, you will inspire countless others to embark on their own journey of self-discovery and empowerment. My dear friends, the power to create the life you desire, the power to remain unaffected by external circumstances lies within you. It always has, and it always will. These 10 principles are simply keys to unlocking that power, to bringing it into your conscious awareness so that you may wield it deliberately and effectively. So go forth with confidence, with joy, with the unshakable knowing that you are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. Let nothing disturb your peace. Let nothing shake your faith. For you are one with the creative power of the universe, and in that oneness lies your invincibility. Thank you. And may your imagination be filled with wonders beyond measure. May your consciousness expand to embrace the infinite possibilities that lie before you. And may you always remember the truth of who you are, the operant power, the divine creator, the I Am. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have everything they desire, while others struggle their entire lives? The difference isn't luck, intelligence, or even hard work. It's something far more powerful, something I discovered that transformed my life in just 7 days. Today, I'm going to share with you the 5 habits that will revolutionize your existence. But before I do, I need you to understand something crucial. Everything you're about to hear has been tested, proven, and verified not just by me, but by thousands who have applied these principles. Let's start with habit number 1, the morning mental diet. This habit alone has the power to reshape your entire reality. Here's exactly how to do it. When you first wake up, don't move. Keep your eyes closed. For the next 15 minutes, you're going to enter what I call the creation zone. In this state, your brain waves are perfectly aligned for programming your subconscious mind. Begin by feeling your desired reality. Notice I'm not saying visualize, I'm saying feel. If you want financial abundance, feel the sensation of checking your bank account and seeing millions. Feel the texture of the leather seats in your dream car. Feel the ocean breeze on your face as you sit on the balcony of your beach house. I remember when I first started this practice, I was sleeping on a hard mattress in a cramped room, but every morning I would feel the sensation of waking up in my dream home. I felt the plush carpet under my feet, the warmth of the morning sun streaming through floor to ceiling windows, the peace of achieving everything I desired. Within days, my external reality began shifting to match my internal experience. This isn't coincidence, it's law. Habit number 2, the constant state. This habit is about maintaining your desired state throughout the day. Most people let their circumstances dictate their state of mind. We're going to reverse that. When you walk, walk as if you've already achieved everything you desire. When you talk, speak from the perspective of someone who has it all. When you breathe, breathe as if you're already living your dream life. This isn't pretending. It's assuming the natural state of who you really are. Think about how you'd carry yourself if you were already successful. How would your posture be? How would you interact with others? How would you respond to challenges? I practice this everywhere, at the grocery store, in meetings, while driving. Instead of letting my current circumstances affect my state, I maintained the feeling of my wish fulfilled. The results were immediate and astounding. Habit number 3, the financial feeling. This habit transformed my relationship with money overnight. Every time you interact with money, spending it, receiving it, even thinking about it, maintain the feeling of unlimited abundance. Here's the key to the financial feeling. When you pay bills, feel genuine gratitude for your ability to circulate money. When you buy something, feel the joy of endless prosperity. Even when you see expensive items, feel the natural comfort of knowing you can easily afford them. I remember standing in front of luxury stores, feeling the natural sensation of being able to buy anything I desire, not from a place of lack or wanting, but from a place of knowing it was already mine. This leads us to habit number 4, the nightly review. This habit is what I call the subconscious programming session. Before sleep, your mind enters a highly receptive state. This is when you can implant your desires directly into your subconscious. Lie in bed and replay your perfect day. Not the day you just had, but the day you want to have. Feel yourself waking up in your dream home. Experience the satisfaction of achieving your goals. Feel the joy of your ideal relationships. I would lie there feeling the sensation of closing million-dollar deals, of impacting thousands of lives, of living in complete abundance. I didn't just imagine these scenes, I felt them with every fiber of my being. The 5th habit is what I call the identity shift. This is perhaps the most powerful of all. Instead of trying to change your circumstances, you change who you are at the core level. Most people try to change their lives from the outside in. They think if I get more money, a better job, or a perfect relationship, they'll finally become the person they want to be. But that's backwards. You must first become that person in your mind. Feel what it's like to be confident, successful, and fulfilled. Don't ask yourself what you need to do to become successful. Ask yourself what a successful person would do, and then naturally do those things. I remember the exact moment this clicked for me. I stopped trying to become successful and simply assumed the identity of someone who already was. My walk changed, my talk changed, my decisions changed, all naturally, all effortlessly. These 5 habits work together in perfect harmony. The morning mental diet programs your day. The constant state maintains that programming. The financial feeling transforms your relationship with abundance. The nightly review deepens the impression, and the identity shift makes it all permanent. But here's what most people don't understand. These habits aren't about changing your actions. They're about changing your state of consciousness. When your consciousness changes, your actions change automatically. Think about it. How does a wealthy person make decisions? How does a confident person handle challenges? How does a successful person view opportunities? When you assume these states of consciousness, you naturally take the actions that create these results. Let me share with you how these habits create lasting transformation. Most people try to change their lives through willpower and struggle, but that's like trying to push a boulder uphill. These habits work with the natural laws of consciousness. Consider this: every morning when you practice the mental diet, you're actually reprogramming your subconscious mind. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined with feeling. It simply accepts whatever you impress upon it. I discovered that the key is persistence. When I first started, my logical mind would argue, saying this isn't real. But I persisted in maintaining the feeling of my desired reality. Within days, my external world began rearranging itself to match my internal state. Let me show you how to deepen these habits. With the constant state, you must understand that every moment is an opportunity to reinforce your new reality. When you're standing in line at the coffee shop, feel wealthy. When you're stuck in traffic, feel successful. When you're waiting for an elevator, feel accomplished. I remember catching myself slipping back into old patterns of thought. But instead of fighting these thoughts, I would gently return to my desired state. It's like training a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it becomes. The financial feeling requires a complete shift in how you view money. Most people feel tension, worry, or lack when dealing with money. You must train yourself to feel relaxed, confident, and abundant in all financial situations. When I began this practice, I would walk into expensive stores and feel completely at home. I would look at luxury cars and feel the natural sensation of ownership. I would read about million-dollar deals and feel completely comfortable with those numbers. The nightly review becomes more powerful when you add emotional intensity to your scenes. Don't just passively observe your desired reality. Be fully immersed in it. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, experience the emotions. I would spend hours perfecting my scenes, making them more vivid, more real, more alive. The key is to feel the naturalness of your desired state. It shouldn't feel like fantasy. It should feel like memory. The identity shift is where all these habits culminate. You're not just changing your thoughts or actions, you're changing who you are at the deepest level. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about awakening to who you truly are. Think about how master pianist plays. They don't think about each note, they express their mastery naturally. That's how these habits should feel. They should become as natural as breathing. Let me reveal something profound about these habits that most people never realize. Every single moment of your day is either reinforcing your old reality or creating your new one. There is no neutral ground. When you're practicing the morning mental diet, you're not just daydreaming, you're actually selecting which version of reality you'll experience. Think of it like tuning a radio to a specific frequency. The station you tune into determines what you'll hear. I discovered that the key to making this habit unstoppable is to focus on the feeling tone of your desire. If you want wealth, don't just imagine money. Feel the security, the freedom, the peace that comes with abundance. Make it so real that your palms tingle with the sensation. The constant state becomes even more powerful when you understand this. Your current circumstances are just shadows of past thinking. They have no power to dictate your state unless you give them that power. This was a game changer for me. When I faced challenges or setbacks, instead of reacting to them, I would immediately shift to the feeling of my desire fulfilled. If someone questioned my goals, I maintained my state. If circumstances seemed contrary to my desires, I persisted in my chosen state. Here's something critical about the financial feeling that transformed my entire relationship with money. Money is just frozen desire. When you maintain the feeling of abundance, you're actually melting that frozen energy and allowing it to flow freely in your life. I remember standing in line at the grocery store, watching others stress about prices. But I had trained myself to feel wealthy regardless of my bank balance. Every transaction became an opportunity to circulate abundance, to feel the joy of prosperity. The nightly review becomes magnetic when you add this dimension. As you're reviewing your perfect day, feel the satisfaction of already having lived it. Don't preview it, review it. This subtle shift makes all the difference. I would lie in bed feeling the profound gratitude of another successful day, even before that day had physically manifested. I felt the handshakes, heard the congratulations, experienced the joy of achievements as if they had already happened. The identity shift deepens when you realize this truth. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you truly are. This isn't about change, it's about recognition. You're simply recognizing your true unlimited nature. Most people think success is about doing, but it's really about being. When you shift your identity, the doing follows naturally. I stopped trying to figure out how to become successful and simply started being successful in my mind and emotions. Here's something few understand about these habits. They work on the principle of assumption. When you assume something is true, your subconscious mind must make it so. It has no choice. It's like giving it a direct command. Let me share something revolutionary about these habits that changed everything for me. Most people think time is linear, that tomorrow comes after today. But when you master these habits, you realize time is actually simultaneous. All possibilities exist now. The morning mental diet becomes exponentially more powerful when you grasp this. You're not creating something new. You're selecting from infinite existing possibilities. Every morning, as you lie there feeling your desired reality, You're actually tuning into a version of you that already has everything you want. I discovered that consistency is crucial. Even if you don't feel like doing it, even if your logical mind argues against it, you must maintain these practices. It's like building a fire. You can't light it once and expect it to burn forever. You must tend to it. The constant state takes on new meaning when you understand this principle. Your external world is nothing but your internal world pushed up. Everything you see, every person you meet, every circumstance you encounter is simply showing you your previous state of consciousness. This was mind-blowing for me. I realized that when I maintained my desired state throughout the day, I wasn't just pretending. I was actually shifting the entire universe to match my consciousness. Every moment became an opportunity for transformation. Let me share a deeper aspect of the financial feeling that most never grasp. Money is just a symbol of exchange, but abundance is a state of being. When you maintain the feeling of abundance, you're not just attracting money, you're becoming the very essence of prosperity. I remember walking into stores and feeling completely different about prices. Instead of seeing something as expensive, I would feel genuine appreciation for its value. Instead of wondering if I could afford something, I naturally knew everything was within my means. The nightly review becomes transformative. When you add this dimension, as you're reviewing your perfect day, feel the relief of knowing it's done. Feel the satisfaction of completion. Feel the natural assumption that this is simply your way of life now. I would lie there feeling the weight of achievement, the warmth of accomplishment, the peace of knowing my desires were already fulfilled. This wasn't hope or wishful thinking. It was a knowing beyond all doubt. The identity shift deepens when you realize this truth. Every version of you already exists. The successful you, the wealthy you, the confident you, they're all present now. You're not creating these versions, you're selecting which one to experience. Think about this. When you change channels on a TV, you're not creating new programs. You're tuning into broadcasts that already exist. Similarly, when you shift your identity, you're tuning into a version of you that already exists in infinite possibility. These habits work together in perfect harmony because they all operate on the same principle, the principle of consciousness. Whatever you're conscious of, you must experience. Whatever you feel is real must become real. Let me reveal something that will fundamentally change how you understand these habits. Most people think success requires years of hard work, but I discovered that success happens in an instant. The instant you fully accept your desired state as real. Think about this when you're practicing the morning mental diet. You're not just visualizing a better future. You're actually stepping into a new dimension of yourself. Each morning becomes a portal to infinite possibilities. This is why the first 15 minutes of your day are sacred. I remember the exact moment this clicked for me. Instead of starting my day with worry and rush preparation, I would lie there in complete serenity, feeling my desired reality with such intensity that my current circumstances seemed like a distant dream. Here's a crucial aspect of the constant state that most miss. Your state of consciousness is your real environment. The physical world you see is just a shadow of past states. When you maintain your desired state throughout the day, you're actually living in your new reality because visible to others. Let me share something profound about maintaining your state. Every person you encounter, every situation you face, is actually an opportunity to reinforce your new reality. When someone talks about limitation, silently maintain your state of abundance. When circumstances appear challenging, intensify your feeling of success. The financial feeling becomes revolutionary when you understand this. Money doesn't flow to you. It flows through you. When you maintain the feeling of unlimited abundance, you become a channel for wealth. Every financial transaction becomes a celebration of prosperity. I would look at my bank account with the same feeling regardless of the numbers shown. I would pay bills with genuine joy, knowing that every dollar spent would return multiplied. I would treat myself to quality experiences, maintaining the natural feeling that I could afford anything I truly desired. The nightly review takes on new power when you grasp this. Your subconscious mind is most receptive in the last moments before sleep. This is when you can impress your desires most deeply. It's like programming tomorrow while you sleep. I would create scenes so vivid, so real, that my physical reality seemed like the dream. I would feel the texture of success, hear the sounds of achievement, experience the emotions of fulfillment with such intensity that my subconscious had no choice but to accept them as real. The identity shift becomes unstoppable. When you realize this, you are not your past thoughts, your current circumstances, or your future hopes. You are pure consciousness capable of assuming any state you desire. This is true power. Most people try to change their lives by changing their actions, but I discovered that when you change your identity, your actions change automatically. You don't have to force yourself to act successful. You naturally do what a successful person would do because you're operating from that state of consciousness. Here's something crucial about these habits. They're not separate practices. They're different aspects of the same truth. The truth that your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, your body, your environment, your circumstances, is just consciousness pushed out into form. The morning mental diet becomes transformative when you realize this. In those first moments of waking, your brain operates in theta waves, the same state held by advanced meditators. This is why those 15 minutes are more powerful than hours of affirmations during the day. I remember experiencing this profound truth during these morning sessions. I wasn't just imagining success, I was actually experiencing success at a neurological level. My brain couldn't distinguish between my imagined reality and physical reality, creating new neural pathways of achievement. Here's the deeper aspect of the constant state that changed everything. Every emotion you feel throughout the day is actually a choice. When you understand this, you realize you can choose to feel successful, wealthy, and fulfilled regardless of external circumstances. Think about this. Your current reality is just a shadow of past emotional states. When you maintain your desired emotional state consistently, you're actually creating your future reality. Every moment becomes a point of power, a chance to reinforce your new state of being. The financial feeling transforms when you grasp this principle. Money is just crystallized consciousness. When you maintain the feeling of abundance, you're actually altering the energy field around you. This is why opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere when you master this habit. I discovered that every financial transaction is actually an energy exchange. When I bought coffee, paid rent, or made any purchase, I maintained the feeling that I was circulating abundance, not losing money. This subtle shift created a constant flow of prosperity in my life. The nightly review becomes magical when you understand this. Your subconscious mind processes information in symbols and feelings. When you review your perfect day before sleep, you're actually feeding your subconscious mind a new blueprint for reality. I would lie there feeling the satisfaction of closed deals, the joy of achievement, the peace of financial freedom. But here's the key. I wouldn't just imagine these scenes. I would feel them with such intensity that my body responded as if they were actually happening. The identity shift reaches new depths when you realize this truth. Your identity isn't something you create. It's something you select from infinite possibilities. Just as a radio can tune into different stations, your consciousness can tune into different versions of you. This understanding transformed how I approach change. Instead of trying to become something new, I simply tuned into the version of me that already had everything I desired. The struggle disappeared, replaced by a natural assumption of my chosen state. Here's something profound about these habits. They work on the principle of resonance. Whatever state you maintain consistently becomes your dominant frequency, and the universe must respond by bringing you experiences that match that frequency. The morning mental diet becomes even more crucial. When you understand this, those first 15 minutes are actually programming the quantum field. When you feel your desired reality with intensity, you're not just affecting your mind, you're reorganizing the very fabric of reality. I discovered that during these morning sessions, maintaining pure focus is essential. Any doubt, any questioning of how create static in the quantum field. The key is to feel with such completeness that questions become irrelevant. You simply know it's done. Here's something profound about the constant state that few understand. Every moment of your day is a choice point in quantum reality. Each time you maintain your desired state despite contrary evidence, you're actually collapsing quantum possibilities into your chosen reality. Think about this. When you're in line at a store, sitting in traffic, or facing any situation that would normally trigger negative emotions, you have a quantum opportunity. By maintaining your desired state, you're actually selecting which parallel reality you'll experience next. The financial feeling becomes extraordinary when you grasp this principle. Money is just frozen time and energy. When you maintain the feeling of unlimited abundance, you're actually altering the quantum field that governs financial flow. I remember walking past expensive stores, looking at luxury items, and feeling complete ownership, not from a place of wanting, but from a place of having. This wasn't pretense, it was selecting from infinite quantum possibilities the reality where these things were already mine. The nightly review takes on cosmic significance when you understand this. During sleep, your consciousness interfaces directly with the quantum field. Your nightly scene review isn't just programming your mind, it's programming reality itself. I would lie there feeling the absolute naturalness of my desires fulfilled. I discovered that the key isn't to reach for the feeling, but to settle into it like sinking into a comfortable chair. The more natural it feels, the more quickly it manifests. The identity shift becomes reality altering when you grasp this truth. You are not a physical being trying to affect the quantum field. You are the quantum field expressing itself as a physical being. This understanding changes everything. Most people think they need to overcome their circumstances. But I discovered that circumstances are just crystallized consciousness. When you shift your identity at the quantum level, circumstances must shift to match your new frequency. Here's something revolutionary about these habits. They work because they align you with the fundamental nature of reality. Reality isn't solid. It's a responsive field of infinite possibility, constantly shaped by consciousness. Think about this. Every great achievement in history first existed as a state of consciousness in someone's mind. The Wright brothers felt the reality of flight before planes existed. Every inventor, every innovator, every achiever first lived their desire in consciousness. When you awaken in the morning, before you engage with the outer world of shadows and effects, there exists a golden opportunity. In that sacred space between sleep and wakefulness, your subconscious mind is most receptive, most malleable to impression. It is in this state that you must practice the art of alignment, where your individual awareness merges with the universal consciousness. Let me share with you the method by which this alignment is achieved. It is not through struggle or strain. It is not through pleading or petition. It is through the exercise of your divine imagination, your most precious gift, the very creative power of God within you. As you lie there in your bed, allow your physical body to relax completely. Feel the weight of your physical form sinking into the mattress beneath you. Your breathing becomes rhythmic, gentle, and deep. With each breath, you release all tension, all concern, all preoccupation with the outer world. Now, in this receptive state, turn your attention inward to the feeling of your desired state fulfilled. What does it feel like to be completely aligned with the universe? What does it feel like to be the expression of infinite power and wisdom? Do not try to answer these questions with your intellect. Feel the answer. For feeling is the secret, the very channel through which your desires are transmitted to the subconscious mind. Remember always that your consciousness is the only reality. The world outside is but a reflection, a shadow of your inner state of being. As within, so without. This is not poetry, this is cosmic law. The universe must conform to the pattern established within your consciousness. It has no choice in the matter, for this is the way of all creation. So now in your morning meditation, assume the feeling of being perfectly aligned with the universal mind. Feel the harmony, the peace, the absolute knowing that all is well. Feel the boundless energy flowing through your being. Feel the perfect health expressing through every cell of your body. Feel the abundance that is your natural state. Feel the love that permeates every fiber of your being. Do not ask how this state will be realized. That is not your concern. The how, the when, the where, these are details that belong to the universal mind. Your task is simply to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to live from the end, to occupy the state of alignment now in your imagination. Many will say to you, but this is merely daydreaming. This is fantasy. I tell you with absolute authority that what you are doing is employing the very creative principle of the universe. You are exercising your divine prerogative as a creative being. You are fulfilling the purpose for which you were created, to experience and express the glory of God, the infinite power of the universe through your individual consciousness. The Bible tells us, in the beginning was the Word. What is this Word? It is not mere language. It is the inner speech, the conversation you have with yourself. It is the assumptions you make about yourself and your world. This inner dialogue shapes your reality more powerfully than any external force ever could. As you lie there in the quiet of the morning, watch your inner dialogue. What are you saying to yourself? What assumptions are you making? Are you telling yourself stories of limitation, of lack, of separation from the good you desire? Or are you assuming the tone, the feeling, the conviction of one who is perfectly aligned with universal abundance? Speak to yourself from the end. Use your inner speech to congratulate yourself on your perfect alignment with the universe. Feel the gratitude that naturally arises when you recognize that all you have desired is already yours in the invisible realm of pure potential. I am so grateful to be perfectly aligned with the universe. How wonderful it is to feel this harmony with all of life. I am the expression of infinite intelligence and power. Everything I need comes to me easily and effortlessly. These are not affirmations to be repeated mechanically. They are states to be felt, to be occupied, to be lived from. Feel their reality, know their truth. Be the embodiment of these statements in your imagination. The ancient wisdom declares, be still and know that I am God. This stillness is not merely the absence of physical movement. It is the quieting of the questioning, doubting mind. It is the surrender of all mental argument against the reality of your wish fulfilled. In this stillness, you recognize your oneness with the creative power of the universe. You are not seeking alignment with the universe. You are acknowledging the alignment that has always existed. I recall a letter I received from a dear friend who practiced this morning meditation faithfully for 30 days. She wrote to me, Neville, I cannot express the transformation that has occurred in my life. I began by simply feeling grateful for my perfect alignment with the universe each morning for just 10 minutes. I didn't force it. I just allowed the feeling to envelop me completely. Within days, opportunities began to present themselves that I could never have arranged through conscious effort. People came into my life bearing gifts that corresponded exactly to my inner needs. Challenges that had once seemed insurmountable dissolved before my eyes. And most remarkably, a profound peace has settled over my entire being. A peace that remains undisturbed even amidst the most chaotic circumstances. This is the promise of your morning meditation. Not merely isolated experiences of good fortune, but a fundamental shift in your state of being. You move from seeing yourself as a separate entity struggling against the universe to knowing yourself as the very channel through which the universe expresses its infinite potential. Now let us explore more deeply what it means to align with the universe. It is not about becoming something you are not. It is about remembering something you have always been. It is about dropping the illusion of separation and reclaiming your rightful place as a creative center in the cosmic drama. When you truly align with the universe in your morning meditation, you are not merely affecting your day ahead. You are altering the entire trajectory of your life. You are establishing a new pattern in consciousness that must, by law, externalize itself in your experience. This is why consistency in your practice is so crucial. Each morning that you assume the feeling of alignment, you strengthen the pattern until it becomes your dominant state, your natural way of being. Many approach manifestation as a technique for getting things. But I tell you, when you align with the universe, you transcend the getting of things. You become the source from which all things flow. You shift from a consciousness of want to a consciousness of abundance. The difference is profound. In the consciousness of want, You are perpetually seeking, perpetually striving, perpetually affirming your separation from that which you desire. In the consciousness of abundance, you rest in the knowledge that all is well, all is provided, all is unfolding perfectly according to the divine pattern established in your imagination. As you practice your morning meditation, you may notice thoughts of doubt arising. How can this be true? How can my mere imagination create reality? How can I be aligned with a universe that seems so often to oppose my desires? These questions stem from the limited perspective of the conditioned mind. They arise from a lifetime of accepting appearances as reality. Do not fight these thoughts. Do not struggle against them. Simply observe them with detachment, knowing that they are merely the dying gasps of an old consciousness. Then gently return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the feeling of perfect alignment. This is not denial of the current conditions, it is transcendence of them. You are not ignoring reality, you are creating it. The great mystics and spiritual teachers throughout history have all pointed to this truth in their own way. They understood that consciousness is the only reality, that the world we experience is a projection of our inner states. They knew that by changing the inner, we inevitably change the outer. This is why Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." This is why Buddha declared, "All that we are arises with our thoughts." This is why the Upanishads proclaim, "You are that." They were all expressing the same fundamental truth from different perspectives. In your morning meditation, you are not reaching for some distant state of enlightenment. You are claiming your birthright as a conscious creator. You are stepping into the role that has been yours since before time began. You are remembering who you truly are. Let me tell you about a simple technique that can deepen your morning practice of alignment. As you lie there in that receptive state between sleep and wakefulness, bring to mind an image of yourself radiating light. See this light extending outward from your heart center, filling your entire body, then extending beyond the boundaries of your physical form to encompass your room, your home, your neighborhood, your city, your country, the entire planet, the solar system, the galaxy, and ultimately the entire universe. As you visualize this expansion of life, feel the boundaries of your individual self dissolving. Feel yourself becoming one with all that is. Feel the rhythm of your breathing synchronizing with the rhythm of all life. Feel your heartbeat as one with the cosmic pulse. In this state of expanded awareness, there is no separation, no division, no me and the universe. There is only the one consciousness expressing itself through countless forms. This is true alignment, not the connecting of two separate entities, but the recognition of an existing oneness. From this state of awareness, make your declarations of truth. Speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows their divine nature. Your words now carry the creative power of the universe itself. I am the universe expressing itself as this unique center of awareness. Through me, infinite potential takes form in the world of effects. I move through my day in perfect harmony with all of life. Every circumstance I encounter serves my highest good and the highest good of all. Feel the truth of these statements. Let them resonate in every cell of your being. Let them reshape your perception of yourself and your world. This is not self-deception. This is awakening to the true nature of reality. Now, I wish to address a question that often arises: how long should I practice this morning meditation? The answer is not measured in minutes or hours, but in the achievement of a particular state of consciousness. You continue until you feel the absoluteness of your alignment with the universe. You continue until all sense of effort dissolves and you rest in the natural state of union. For some, this may occur in 5 minutes. For others, it may require 30 minutes or more. The duration is less important than the quality of your consciousness during the practice. Remember also that this morning meditation, while powerful in itself, is meant to establish a foundation for your entire day. The state of alignment you achieve upon awakening should be maintained to the best of your ability throughout all your activities. This does not mean you must remain in deep meditation as you go about your business. It means that you carry the feeling of alignment, the awareness of oneness, into every moment, every interaction, every circumstance you encounter. When challenges arise, as they inevitably will in this world of duality, return to the feeling of alignment. Remember who you truly are. Remember the truth you acknowledged in your morning practice. This constant remembrance is the secret to living a life of harmony, abundance, and joy. Many spiritual seekers make the mistake of compartmentalizing their spiritual practice. They meditate in the morning, then return to a consciousness of separation, struggle, and limitation throughout the day. They wonder why their manifestations are inconsistent, why their good seems to come and go. The answer lies in the consistency of their state of consciousness. The universe does not respond to occasional alignment. It responds to your dominant mental and emotional state. This is why your morning meditation is so crucial. It establishes the tone for your day. It anchors you in the consciousness of oneness and abundance before the distractions and challenges of daily life can pull you back into the illusion of separation. It reminds you of your true identity as a divine being, as the very creative power of the universe individualized in human form. I want to share with you a profound insight that was revealed to me during my own spiritual journey. The alignment you seek with the universe is not something to be achieved, it is something to be revealed. The alignment already exists in a natural state. What obscures this natural state are the accumulated beliefs, judgments, and misperceptions that constitute the conditioned mind. Your morning meditation, therefore, is not a process of creating alignment, but of removing the obstacles to the awareness of alignments. It is a clearing away of the fog that obscures the ever-present sun of your divine nature. This understanding transforms your practice from an effortful striving to a gentle surrender, from doing to being, from seeking to finding. As you lie there in the morning, simply allow yourself to be. Allow the accumulated tensions of a lifetime to melt away. Allow the persistent doubts to dissolve in the light of awareness. Allow the truth of your being to reveal itself naturally, effortlessly. This allowance, this surrender, is the secret key that unlocks the door to cosmic alignment. I recall a gentleman who attended my lectures regularly but struggled with the concept of effortless manifestation. He would tell me, "Neville, I am working so hard at this. I meditate every morning. I affirm my oneness with the universe. I visualize my desires like intensity I can muster. But nothing changes." I asked him to describe his experience during meditation. As he spoke, it became clear that his entire practice was characterized by strain, by an underlying belief that he needed to make something happen. I suggested that for 1 week, he abandon all technique, all effort, all striving. I asked him to simply rest in the awareness of being for 10 minutes each morning. No affirmations, no visualizations, no attempting to create a particular state. Just being present with whatever arose in his awareness, without judgment or resistance. He returned the following week with tears in his eyes. "Neville," he said, "all my life I've been struggling to achieve what was already mine. In those moments of complete surrender, I experienced a peace and a knowing that transcended all my previous understanding. And remarkably, the very conditions I had been working so hard to manifest began to appear in my life effortlessly, naturally, as if they had been waiting all along for me to step out of their way." This is the paradox of alignment with the universe. The more you strive for it, the more elusive it becomes. The moment you surrender, the moment you stop trying to make it happen, it reveals itself as the truth that has always been. In your morning meditation, allow yourself to experience this surrender. Let go of all concepts of how alignment should feel. Let go of all expectations of what should happen as a result of your practice. Let go of the very idea of yourself as a separate entity seeking connection with something outside of you. In this complete letting go, the truth of your being stands revealed. You are the universe. You are the power you have been seeking. You are the consciousness in which all things arise, exist, and dissolve. This understanding liberates you from the endless cycle of seeking and striving. It places the power of creation where it has always been, within you as you. From this recognition, you create your reality not through force or manipulation, but through the natural expression of your true nature. Just as the sun does not strain to shine, you do not strain to create. Creation flows through you as the natural activity of the universal consciousness that you are. As we approach the conclusion of our discussion on this powerful morning meditation, I want to emphasize a point that many miss. The purpose of aligning with the universe is not merely to improve your individual life, though this will certainly occur. The greater purpose is to allow the infinite intelligence and love of the universe to express itself more fully through you, for the benefit of all beings. When you are aligned with the universe, you become a clear channel for divine expression. Your thoughts, words, and actions carry the harmonic resonance of universal truth. You become a healing presence in a world of confusion and conflict. You become a light in the darkness, not through any personal effort or virtue, but through the natural radiation of the universal consciousness that you have allowed to shine through you. This is the highest form of service you can offer to humanity and to all of life. It is not service based on sacrifice or obligation. It is service that arises spontaneously from the recognition of oneness. You serve others because they are not others in the true sense. They are expressions of the same consciousness that you are. In serving them, you serve yourself. In loving them, you love yourself. In healing them, you heal yourself. As you practice your morning meditation, hold this understanding in your awareness. You are aligning with the universe not just for personal gain, but to become a more perfect instrument for the expression of universal love and wisdom. This intention elevates your practice from a merely metaphysical technique to a sacred communion with the source of all being. Let us review the essential elements of this powerful morning meditation. Begin in the quiet moments upon awakening, when your mind is most receptive to impression. Relax your physical body completely, releasing all tension and resistance. Turn your attention inward to the feeling of being aligned with the universe, of being one with the creative power of all life. Use your inner speech to confirm and strengthen this awareness. Speak to yourself from the state of alignment already achieved. If thoughts of doubt or separation arise, observe them without resistance. Then gently return to the feeling of oneness. Expand your awareness beyond the boundaries of your physical form to include all of life, all of existence. Allow yourself to simply be, surrendering all effort, all striving, all trying to make something happen. Carry the feeling of alignment with you throughout your day, returning to it whenever you find yourself caught in the illusion of separation. Remember that your alignment serves not only your individual good, but the good of all beings. Practice this meditation with consistency, understanding that you are establishing a new pattern in consciousness that will transform every aspect of your experience. My dear friends, what I have shared with you is not merely a technique or a method. It is a remembrance of the truth of your being. It is an invitation to reclaim your divine heritage as a creative center in the cosmic drama. It is a call to awaken from the dream of separation and limitation to the reality of oneness and infinite potential. The universe is not waiting for you to align with it. The universe is waiting for you to recognize that you are it, individualized in human form for the purpose of creation and experience. This recognition is the beginning of a new life, a life lived from the inside out, a life of power, purpose, and limitless possibility. Tonight, as you retire to sleep, hold the intention of awakening to the remembrance of your oneness with all of life. Tomorrow morning, practice this meditation with the conviction of one who knows the truth of their being. And throughout all your tomorrows, live from this truth, express this truth, be this truth. The Bible declares, I and my Father are one. This is not a statement of union between separate entities. It is a declaration of identity, of sameness. The I that speaks through Jesus, through me, through you, is the one consciousness, the one reality, the universe itself. As you align with this truth in your morning meditation, you align with the very source of all creation. There is nothing outside of you that you need to connect with, nothing external that you need to attain. All that you seek is within you, waiting for your recognition. The kingdom of heaven is not a place you go to. It is a state of consciousness by remembering who you truly are. My beloved friends, I leave you with this truth, simple yet profound. You are the universe expressing itself as a human being. In your morning meditation, you are not creating this reality, you are acknowledging it. And in this acknowledgement lies the secret of all manifestation, all creation, all fulfillment. Let this be your contemplation as you enter the silence of your being. Let this be the foundation of your life as you move through each day. Let this be your legacy as you touch the lives of all you encounter. I and my Father are one. I and the universe are one. This is the eternal truth, the yolti, the holtity, the final secret you will to have eyes to see and ears to hear. This is your truth. Claim it, live it, be it. And now, in the silence of your own being, Allow this truth to resonate. Allow it to transform your perception of yourself and your world. Allow it to reveal the glory that has been yours since before time began. In this alignment with the universe, all things are possible. All good is available. All love is present. All wisdom is accessible. For you are that which you seek. You are the answer to your every question. You are the fulfillment of your every desire. Rest in this knowledge. Live from this awareness and watch as the universe, which is none other than your expanded self, brings forth the manifestation of your highest vision, your noblest purpose, your greatest joy. The universe is not something to align with, it is something to remember that you are. In this remembrance is freedom. In this remembrance is power. In this remembrance is the peace that passes all understanding. Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know that you are the universe. Be still and know the truth that sets you free.
My dear wonderful friends, tonight we will explore one of the most powerful yet misunderstood principles in the art of manifestation, the divine law of silence and selective association. Many of you have come to me asking, Neville, why do my manifestations sometimes fail? Or why do things seem to fall apart just when they're about to succeed? Tonight I will share with you a profound truth that will transform your understanding of the law. Let me begin by telling you why silence is not merely the absence of speech, but the very foundation of your creative power. In Scripture we read, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness, this divine silence, is not a mere suggestion. It is the very secret of creation itself. Consider how God created the world. Did He announce His intentions to anyone? Did He seek validation or approval? No, my dear friends, in the depths of silence, in the quiet of His own being. He spoke the words, "Let there be," and it was done. This is your pattern. This is your blueprint. Iron Metal came to me in New York. She had been trying to manifest a specific position in her company, a position that seemed impossible to obtain given her current status. She had told everyone about her desire, seeking advice, validation, and support. For months, nothing happened. Then she heard this principle of silence and everything changed. She did something remarkable. She cut off all discussion of her desire. She stopped seeking opinion, stopped announcing her intentions, and most importantly, she went into what I call the sacred silence. Within 3 weeks, not only was she offered the position she desired, but she was offered an even better one she hadn't even imagined possible. You see, when you speak of your desires to others, you are diffusing your creative power. Every time you discuss your intentions, you are releasing the pressure of the creative force. That should be building within you. It's like puncturing a balloon before it's fully inflated. The air escapes and the balloon never reaches its intended form. Let me share with you what I call the law of sacred silence. This law states that every desire has its own gestation period, just as every seed has its own time of growth. When you plant a seed in the ground, you dig it up every day to check its progress. You tell everyone about the seed you've planted and ask their opinion on whether it will grow. Of course not. You plant it in the silence of the earth and let it grow undisturbed. Your desires are spiritual seeds, and your consciousness is the soil in which they grow. Every time you speak of your desires to others, you are essentially digging up your seed to show it to the world. How can it grow if you don't give it the silence it needs to take root? But tonight I want to take you deeper than you've ever gone before into understanding why cutting all contacts is equally crucial to your manifestation. This is not about isolation. It's about insulation. Then you must insulate your consciousness from the doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs of others. Consider the story of Noah. Before the flood came, he was instructed to enter the ark and seal it. This is not a historical account, but a psychological drama playing out in consciousness. The ark represents your consciousness, and sealing it represents cutting off contact with all that would disturb your assumption of the wish fulfilled. Many of you maintain relationships and connections that constantly pull you back into old states of consciousness. Try to rise to a new level of being while staying connected to those who know you as you were, not as you desire to be. This is like trying to fly while keeping your feet chained to the ground. Let me tell you about a student of mine who understood this principle perfectly. He desired to move from poverty to wealth, but he realized that his daily associations were keeping him anchored in the consciousness of lack. His friends, though well-meaning, constantly spoke of limitations, of how difficult it was to make money, of how the economy was against them. He made a bold decision. He temporarily cut all contacts that reinforced the old state of poverty consciousness. He didn't do this unkindly or abruptly, but he quietly withdrew from circles that kept him tied to the old state. Instead of spending evenings discussing lack with his usual companions, he went into silence and lived in the assumption of his wish fulfilled. The results were extraordinary. Within 6 months, his entire financial reality transformed. But notice something crucial. He didn't announce his intentions to withdraw. He didn't make declarations about cutting contacts. He simply did it, in silence, with the same naturalness with which you would close the door to keep out the cold. Now let me share with you what I call the 3 chambers of silence. The first chamber is physical silence, the cessation of speaking about your desires. The second chamber is mental silence, the quieting of internal chatter and doubt. The third chamber, and most profound, is spiritual silence, the complete surrender to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Many of you enter the first chamber easily enough. You can stop talking about your desires. Some of you even master the second chamber, controlling your thoughts, but it's the third where the real power lies. In this chamber can only be entered when you've cut the ties that bind you to your old state. Think of Lot's wife in Scripture. She was told not to look back at the city she was leaving. This is not a story about physical geography. It's about consciousness. When you're moving into a new state of being, you cannot keep looking back at the old state or maintaining connections with those who are not old state. Let me tell you about the law of state resonance. Everything and everyone in your life is a reflection of the state you occupy. When you try to enter a new state, while maintaining connections with those who resonate with your old state, you create a psychological conflict that prevents your complete transformation. I recall a gentleman in Los Angeles who desired to become a renowned author. He had talent, he had ideas, but he remained stuck in obscurity. Why? Because he kept himself surrounded by people who knew him as a struggling writer. Their very presence in his life kept him anchored to that state of struggle. One day, after hearing these principles, he did something that seemed drastic to others, but was perfectly natural to him. He cut all contacts with his writing group, stopped attending literary gatherings where people complained about how hard it was to get published, and went into complete silence about his work. Instead of discussing his book with others, he lived in the silence of his completed wish. He would walk into bookstores and quietly see his book on the shelves. He would silently feel the weight of his published work in his hands. He stopped seeking validation, stopped asking for opinions, and most importantly, stopped connecting with those who knew him as anything less than a successful author. Here's what you must understand about the power of cutting contacts. It's not about avoiding people. It's about avoiding states. Every person in your life represents a state of consciousness. When you maintain connections with those who know you in your old state, you're making it infinitely harder to fully occupy your new state. Consider the biblical instruction. Come out from among them and be ye separate. This is not about physical separation, but about separating yourself from states that contradict your desire. When you truly understand this, you'll see why maintaining certain contacts keeps you bound to states you're trying to leave. Let me introduce you to what I call the principle of state solidarity. This principle states that your consciousness naturally seeks alignment with the predominant consciousness of those around you. This is why being around people who knew in your old state makes it challenging to maintain your new assumption. Think of it like tuning a radio. You're trying to tune into the frequency of your desire, but the old contacts in your life keep pulling the dial back to the old frequency. The solution is not to fight against this pulling. The solution is to remove yourself from the range of the old frequency entirely. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, Isn't it selfish to cut contacts with people? Let me tell you something profound. You're not cutting contact with people. You're cutting contact with states. When you successfully establish yourself in your new state, you'll find that some of these people will either transform with you or naturally fall away. Let me share with you what I call the law of silent transformation. When a caterpillar enters its cocoon, it doesn't announce its transformation. It doesn't seek approval from other caterpillars. It doesn't maintain connections with its caterpillar life in perfect silence. In complete isolation, it undergoes its magnificent transformation. This is your pattern. When you're transforming into a new state of consciousness, you must enter your own psychological cocoon. This is why silence and cutting contacts are not just helpful suggestions. They are spiritual imperatives. I remember a woman in my New York lectures who desired marriage. She had been dating for years, constantly discussing her relationships with friends, always seeking advice, always maintaining connections with people who knew her as the single friend. She was constantly in what I call the state of seeking. After learning these principles, she did something revolutionary. She cut all contacts with her dating circles, stopped discussing relationships entirely, and withdrew from the constant social commentary about her love life. Instead, she went into complete silence and lived in the assumption of being happily married. Her friends thought she had become antisocial. Some even criticized her for withdrawing, but she understood something they didn't. She couldn't become the woman she desired to be while maintaining connections that kept her in the state of seeking. Here's what you must understand about the power of silence. It's not merely the absence of noise, it's the presence of power. When you go into silence about your desires, when you cut contacts with those who know you as you are creating a vacuum in consciousness. And nature abhors a vacuum? Let me introduce you to the 4 stages of silent creation. The first stage is recognition, recognizing that your current contacts and conversations are keeping you bound to your old state. The second stage is withdrawal, quietly removing yourself from environments and relationships that reinforce the old state. The third stage is silence, maintaining complete silence about your transformation. The fourth stage is emergence, naturally revealing your new state once it's fully embodied. Most people fail because they try to skip stages. They recognize the need for change, but maintain all their old contacts. They try to withdraw, but keep announcing their withdrawal. They attempt silence, but keep checking if it's working. Remember, a seed doesn't grow faster because you keep checking on it. Consider Joseph in Scripture. When he received his dream of greatness, did he maintain connections with those who knew him as a slave? No, he was separated from all his old contacts, placed in what appeared to be adverse circumstances. But these very circumstances were preparing him for his transformation. This brings us to what I call the principle of sacred separation. Just as a pregnant woman carries her unborn child in the silence and privacy of her jatsam, you must carry your desire in the silence and privacy of your consciousness. Every time you discuss it, every time you maintain contact with those who doubt it, you're exposing your unborn desire to harmful elements. Let me tell you about a businessman who came to me in desperate circumstances. His company was failing, and he had been constantly discussing his problems with everyone who would listen. His entire network consisted of people who knew him as the owner of a struggling business. I shared with him these principles, and he understood them at a deep level. He stopped attending business networking events where people discussed market difficulties. He cut contacts with his commiseration circle, those friends who gathered to share business troubles. He went into complete silence about his company's status. Instead of seeking advice, he sought silence. Instead of maintaining connections that reinforced failure, he insulated his consciousness. In the assumption of success to the outside world, he seemed to have become a recluse. But in the silence of his consciousness, a transformation was taking place. What happened next illustrates perfectly what I call the law of silent attraction. Within 3 months, His business began attracting opportunities that had been there all along but were invisible to him while he was in the state of struggle and constant discussion. You see, when you're constantly talking about your problems, constantly maintaining contacts with those who reinforce your limitations, you're blind to the opportunities surrounding you. Let me share with you the deeper metaphysical reason why silence and cutting contacts are so crucial. In Scripture we read, "In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength." This is not merely poetic language, it's a precise description of the law of consciousness. Thank you for listening. When you maintain silence and cut contacts with the old state, you're doing something profound. You're creating what I call a consciousness vacuum. Nature must fill this vacuum, but it can only fill it with whatever corresponds to your assumed state. Consider this principle. Every person in your life is a mirror reflecting back to you your state of consciousness. When you maintain contacts with those who knew you in your old state, you're constantly being reminded of who you were, not who you desire to be. This is why cutting contacts is not an act of rejection, but an act of spiritual wisdom. I remember a teacher who came to me. She had been trying to manifest a position at a prestigious university, but she kept herself surrounded by colleagues who knew her as a struggling substitute teacher. Every conversation, every interaction, every relationship reinforced her current state. She understood these principles and did something that seemed radical to others. She quietly withdrew from her regular social circles. She stopped attending teachers' gatherings where the conversation centered around limited opportunities. She cut contact with those who consistently reminded her of her current circumstances. Instead, she went into what I call the silence of assumption. In this silence, free from the constant reinforcement of her old state, she lived completely in the assumption of being a distinguished professor. She didn't tell anyone about this inner transformation. She didn't seek validation. She simply lived in the silence of her fulfilled desire. Here's what you must understand about the power of sacred insulation. When you isolate yourself from influences that contradict your desired state, you're not being antisocial, you're being spiritually wise. Just as a scientist must create a controlled environment for certain experiments, a controlled environment in consciousness for your transformation. Let me introduce you to what I call the 7 seals of silence. The first seal is physical withdrawal, removing yourself from environments that reinforce the old state. The second seal is social disconnection, cutting contacts with those who know you only as you were. The third seal is conversational silence, refusing to discuss your transformation or desire. The fourth seal is mental quietude, silencing the internal dialogue about your past state. The fifth seal is emotional stillness, maintaining calm confidence in your assumption. The sixth seal is spiritual insulation, protecting your consciousness from doubt and disbelief. The seventh seal is complete absorption, living entirely in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Each of these seals must be maintained if you wish to complete your transformation. Wrecking even one seal can allow the old state to seep back into your consciousness. Consider the biblical story of the 3 wise men. After they saw the Christ child, they were warned in a dream not to return to Herod. This is a psychological truth. Once you've conceived your new state, seeing the Christ child, you must not return to the old state, Herod. You must take another way home. Now let me share with you what I call the ultimate law of silent achievement. When you understand this law, you'll never again question the power of silence and selective contact. Every great achievement in history, every significant transformation, has followed this pattern of silence and sacred isolation. Think of Jesus going into the wilderness for 40 days. Think of Buddha leaving his palace in social circles. Think of every great inventor, artist or visionary who withdrew from society to birth their creation. This is not coincidence, it's law. Let me tell you about my own experience with this principle. When I first discovered these truths, I didn't announce them to the world. I went into silence. I cut contacts with those who knew me as the old man. In that silence, in that sacred isolation, I experienced what I call the great knowing. Here's what you must do starting tonight. First, make a solemn covenant with yourself. a covenant of silence. No more discussing your desires, your plans, your transformations with anyone. Second, begin what I call the Great Withdrawal, systematically cutting contacts with those who hold you in your old state. But remember, this is not about physical isolation, it's about state isolation. You're not rejecting people, you're rejecting states of consciousness that no longer serve your transformation. I'll share with you the 5 commands of silent power. Thou shalt not speak of thy desire to anyone. Thou shalt cut all contacts that anchor thee to the old state. Thou shalt live completely in the silence of thy wish fulfilled. Thou shalt not return to check on thy progress. Thou shalt maintain thy silence until thy manifestation is complete. These commands are not suggestions, they are spiritual laws that must be obeyed if you wish to transform your reality. Consider this final principle I call the law of silent emergence. Just as a butterfly emerges from its cocoon, only when its transformation is complete, you should only re-emerge into the world, when your new state is fully embodied. Let me tell you about the 3 signs of complete transformation. First, when your new state feels more natural than your old state. Second, when maintaining silence requires no effort. Third, when your old contacts naturally fall away or transform to match your new state. Remember, my dear friends, that silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of power. Cutting contacts is not the absence of relationship. It's the presence of spiritual wisdom. As we conclude tonight's talk, I want to leave you with this final truth. Your world is your consciousness pushed out. Every person, every circumstance, every condition in your life is there because of the state you occupy. When you change your state in silence, when you cut contacts with the old state, you automatically change your world. Go forth now in doubt, not in fear, but in the absolute knowing that as you maintain your silence, as you cut contacts with the old state, your transformation must manifest. It's law. Remember these words from Scripture. Be still and know that I am God. This stillness, this silence, this sacred isolation, this is your path to transformation. And now, my dear wonderful friends, as we close this evening, take with you this solemn truth. Your silence is your power. Your withdrawal from the old state is your pathway to the new. Maintain this silence, maintain this sacred isolation, and watch as your world transforms to match your silent assumption. For in the end, it is not in the noise of the world, but in the silence of your consciousness that all things are created. It is not in maintaining old contacts, but in sacred isolation, that transformation occurs. Go now in silence and confidence in the absolute knowing that what you desire is already yours. For in consciousness all things are possible to him who believes and maintains the silence of that belief. Good night and God bless you all.
What if I told you that everything you've ever dreamed of, wealth, success, and a life of abundance, can become your reality with just the power of your mind? It might sound like magic, but it's not. This is the transformative power of visualization, a practice that has changed countless lives and can change yours too. In this video, we'll uncover the secrets behind the law of assumption, a profound concept taught by Neville Goddard, one of the most influential spiritual teachers of all time. Neville's teachings go beyond the surface of positive thinking. They reveal a step-by-step process to manifest anything you desire by simply assuming it's already yours. Stay with us, because we'll not only explain the fascinating psychology behind this law, but also show you exactly how to use it in your life. From understanding why the mind struggles to distinguish between reality and imagination, to learning how to shift your mindset into wealth consciousness, this video will empower you to take control of your destiny. We'll also share lesser-known insights from Neville's teachings that could be the missing link in your journey to financial freedom. Whether you're new to the law of assumption or looking for deeper clarity, this is your guide to turning your visualizations into reality. Vision. Welcome to Limitless Mindset, the channel where we explore the untapped potential of your mind to create the life you deserve. If you're ready to unlock the secrets of manifestation and transform your life, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's dive into the incredible power of visualization and how it can help you achieve wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before we talk about how to manifest wealth, let's first understand the foundation of this process, the law of assumption. This concept is both simple and profound. It is the belief that assuming a desired state as true, deep in your mind and emotions, will bring that state into your reality. In essence, what you believe and feel to be true becomes your experience. The law of assumption works on the principle that your subconscious mind is the creator of your reality. It does not judge or analyze, it simply accepts what you feed it. When you assume a particular state, whether it's wealth, success, or happiness, your subconscious mind begins to align your external circumstances to match this assumption. This is why changing your inner world is the key to changing your outer world. Neville Goddard, a pioneer of this teaching, explained that imagination is the most powerful tool we have. He believed that everything you experience in life is a result of your imagination. According to Neville, you must imagine the fulfillment of your desire as if it has already happened. It's not enough to think about what you want. You must feel it deeply. The emotions of joy, gratitude, and satisfaction are the triggers that activate the law of assumption. Neville often emphasized the importance of living in the end. This means that instead of hoping for your desires to come true, you act and feel as though they already have. For example, if you desire wealth, visualize yourself living a wealthy life. See the details, hear the sounds, and most importantly, feel the emotions. Your imagination must be so vivid and convincing that it becomes your new reality internally. This process might seem abstract, but it is grounded in the way the mind works. The subconscious cannot differentiate between real events and vividly imagined ones. When you persist in assuming and feeling the state you desire, your subconscious begins to reshape your actions, decisions, and circumstances to bring that desire into existence. This is where the magic of the law of assumption truly lies. Before we talk about applying the law of assumption, it's essential to understand one of its most powerful tools, visualization. Visualization is the practice of creating vivid mental images of a desired outcome, allowing these images to influence your thoughts, emotions, and ultimately your reality. It's more than daydreaming, it's a deliberate and focused process designed to reshape your inner world. When it comes to manifesting desires, especially wealth, visualization plays a central role. By imagining yourself in a state of financial abundance, you begin to shift your mindset and energy. This shift isn't just motivational, it's transformational. You start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You approach challenges with confidence instead of fear. Your mental imagery becomes the blueprint for the reality your subconscious mind starts working to create. The psychological basis of visualization is fascinating. Studies have shown that the brain cannot distinguish between real experiences and vividly imagined ones. For instance, when you visualize yourself achieving a goal, the same neural pathways are activated as if you were actually experiencing it. This creates a mental rehearsal that conditions your brain to believe the imagined scenario is possible, even inevitable. This phenomenon is why athletes, performers, and successful individuals often use visualization to prepare for success. For example, a runner might visualize crossing the finish line first, feeling the wind, hearing the cheers, and experiencing the rush of victory. This process programs the mind for success, increasing their confidence and focus in the real event. In the context of wealth, visualization allows you to align with the energy of abundance. Picture yourself living the life you desire, whether it's a beautiful home, financial freedom, or helping others through your wealth.
Imagine it in detail. What does the space look like? What emotions do you feel? The more real the visualization, the stronger its impact on your subconscious mind. This practice is not just about creating positive feelings. It's about convincing your mind that the wealth you desire is already yours. When done consistently, visualization begins to reshape your beliefs, habits, and actions to match this internal reality. In this way, visualization becomes a bridge between your dreams and the life you're building. Before we talk about how to make your visualizations truly effective, it's important to understand the synergy between visualization and the law of assumption. Each of these practices is powerful on its own, but when combined, they create a force that can transform your reality. Visualization gives your mind a clear image of what you desire, while the law of assumption adds the emotional and mental alignment necessary to make it real. The process begins with clarity. You need to clearly define your financial goals. Think about what wealth means to you. Is it a certain amount of money in your account? Is it the freedom to travel, invest, or support loved ones? Be specific. Without a clear goal, your mind has no target to aim for, and the process becomes scattered. Once your goals are defined, bring them to life through visualization. Close your eyes and create a vivid mental picture of your life after achieving these goals. See the details, the environment, the people, the experiences. What does your daily life look like? Engage all your senses. Hear the conversations you would have. Feel the texture of the things around you, and immerse yourself fully in this imagined reality. But visualization is not enough by itself. This is where the law of assumption comes in. While visualizing, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Don't just imagine wealth. Feel what it's like to already be wealthy. Experience the relief, joy, and gratitude that come with financial freedom. This emotional state is what communicates to your subconscious that the desired reality is already true. The key is consistency. Maintaining this assumption is critical. It's not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe. Instead, it's about gently guiding your mind back to this feeling every time doubt or negativity arises. Revisit your visualization often, especially during quiet moments like before sleep or right after waking up, when your mind is most receptive. By combining the vivid imagery of visualization with the emotional alignment of the law of assumption, you create a powerful mental and emotional blueprint. This blueprint influences your thoughts, behaviors, and even the opportunities that come your way, paving the path for your financial goals to materialize. Before we talk about the results of manifesting wealth, let's focus on the practical steps you can take to make this process work in your life. Manifestation isn't just about thinking positively or wishing for change. It's about taking intentional, consistent actions that align your mind, emotions, and energy with your financial goals. The first step is to set clear financial intentions. Be specific about what you want to achieve. Instead of saying, "I want to be rich," define the exact amount of money you want to have, the lifestyle you wish to live, or the financial milestones you want to reach. Clarity provides direction and gives your subconscious mind a clear goal to focus on. Once your intentions are set, daily visualization practices become essential. Start with meditation to calm and focus your mind. Find a quiet place where you can close your eyes and visualize your financial goals vividly. Imagine your bank account showing the exact balance you desire. See yourself living in the home you've always dreamed of, or driving the car you want. Feel the emotions of joy and gratitude as if these goals are already part of your life. Vision boards are another powerful tool to reinforce your visualization. Gather images, words, and symbols that represent your wealth goals and create a visual collage. Place this board where you can see it daily, and spend a few moments each day focusing on it. This keeps your intentions fresh and strengthens your mental alignment. Affirmations are also vital for reprogramming your beliefs. Use positive, present tense statements like, "I am financially free," or "I attract wealth effortlessly." Repeat these affirmations during your visualization sessions or throughout your day to reinforce your belief in your financial abundance. Gratitude is the final step in aligning with abundance. Take time every day to express thanks for the wealth you already have, no matter how small it may seem. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, opening your mind and emotions to receive even more. By integrating these practical steps into your daily life, you create a routine that strengthens your belief in wealth, aligns your energy with abundance, and directs your actions toward achieving your financial goals. Before we talk about the rewards of manifesting wealth, it's important to recognize some common pitfalls that can derail the process. Manifestation, especially when applying the law of assumption, requires patience, belief, and focus. Understanding these challenges and knowing how to overcome them is key to staying on track. One of the most common mistakes is doubting the process. It's natural for skepticism to creep in, especially when you don't see immediate results. This doubt can weaken your efforts and send conflicting messages to your subconscious mind. The key is to remind yourself that the process works in its own time. Trust that the seeds you are planting through visualization and assumption will eventually grow. Another pitfall is impatience. Many people start with excitement, but quickly lose faith when results don't show up as quickly as they hoped. Manifestation is not a quick fix. It's a transformation of your inner world that gradually reflects in your outer reality. To counter impatience, focus on the small shifts you notice. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how minor it may seem. And remember that persistence always pays off. Focusing on your current undesirable reality is another trap that can block progress. It's easy to get caught up in what you see around you: financial struggles, bills piling up, or a lack of opportunities. However, dwelling on these circumstances reinforces them in your subconscious. Instead, shift your attention to the reality you're creating. Use your visualization and affirmations to stay anchored in the state of abundance, to maintain faith and persistence. Build habits that support your journey. Create a routine of daily visualization and affirmations, and surround yourself with reminders of your goals like a vision board or inspirational quotes. Journaling can also help you track your progress and reinforce your belief in the process. When doubt or impatience arises, take a moment to pause and realign. Meditation or mindfulness practices can help you refocus on your intentions and calm your mind. Trust that even when results are not visible, changes are happening beneath the surface. By staying aware of these pitfalls and actively working to overcome them, you can ensure that your efforts to manifest wealth remain strong and consistent, paving the way for your success. Before we talk about how these principles can transform your life, let's look at some real-life success stories that prove the power of visualization and the law of assumption. These individuals started with nothing but a vision, belief, and unwavering persistence, and they turned their dreams into reality. One such story is that of Jim Carrey, the world-famous actor and comedian. Long before he became famous, Carrey was struggling to make ends meet. He used visualization and the power of assumption to change his circumstances. Every night he would sit on a hill overlooking Los Angeles and visualize himself as a successful actor. He even wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered and dated it 5 years into the future. Remarkably, just before that date, he landed a role in Dumb and Dumber and was paid exactly $10 million. End quote. Another example is Oprah Winfrey, who often speaks about the importance of belief and visualization in her success. Coming from a background of poverty and hardship, she used these principles to envision herself as a successful talk show host and media mogul. Oprah consistently focused on the life she wanted, not the struggles she faced, and her persistence paid off, turning her into one of the most influential women in the world. Countless others have shared similar journeys, including ordinary individuals who used these techniques to achieve financial freedom. Take the story of a small business owner who was drowning in debt. They began practicing daily visualization, imagining their business thriving, their debts cleared, and their bank account growing. By combining this with actionable steps like networking and improving their services, they turned their business around in just a few years. The common thread in all these stories is belief and persistence. Each person held on to their vision, even when their current reality showed no signs of change. They refused to let doubt or impatience derail them. Instead, they trusted the process, consistently visualized their desired outcomes, and acted in alignment with their goals. These stories remind us that the principles of visualization and assumption are not just abstract ideas. They're tools that, when used consistently and with conviction, can reshape lives and create extraordinary results. To lead with will is to become a part of the universe. To wrap things up, we've explored the incredible power of visualization and the law of assumption to manifest wealth and transform your life. We began by understanding how these principles work, focusing on the synergy between creating mental images and assuming the reality of your desires. We delved into practical steps, such as setting clear intentions, daily visualization, affirmations, and practicing gratitude, to align your mind and emotions with abundance. We also addressed common pitfalls like doubt and impatience, and shared real-life success stories that highlight the magic of belief and persistence. Now, it's your turn to take these principles and apply them in your life. Start by defining your financial goals. Visualize them daily, and assume the feeling of already having achieved them. Remember, the key is consistency and faith in the process. Even if results take time, stay committed and trust that your reality is shifting in ways you cannot yet see. You have the power to create the life you desire. All it takes is a clear vision, a belief in your ability to succeed, and the persistence to keep moving forward. Visualize, assume, and manifest your wealth into reality. If you found this video inspiring, give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit from this knowledge. Don't forget to subscribe to Limitless Mindset for more insights on unlocking the full potential of your mind. Together, let's create lives of abundance and fulfillment. Thank you for watching.